Saladcast.
Palladium?
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday the 20th of April 2013. I'm your host Untrained. Joining me today, Roberto Campos.
I've got nothing clever to say.
And Zacharias Burgess.
He said be funny, not be loud.
Be loud? You have to be loud, otherwise it won't get picked up on the microphone.
Okay.
Be loud and funny.
Yeah, that would
Indeed.
be the
That would be
ultimate
the
combo.
key. But you...
I failed. I wasn't ready.
you were the
How
one
he starts this
spurring
already.
us on
I know.
with your Palladiums.
I
and your
forgot
London
about the
Palladiums.
intro point.
The intro point.
The point of intro.
That's the point you were instigating.
Indeed. I pointed towards the point of intro.
Indeed.
Is like nested pointers? Oh no, programming.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Let's get away from nested
about that.
pointers.
Who knows? Everyone alright? Had a good couple of weeks. Zach is emptying his
The
pockets.
noise
Check
of
out
keys.
Yeah, I forgot to do that as well.
The key noise.
the comfort pockets. We've had this discussion before, haven't we, about shit in pockets during car journeys?
I don't think we've discussed it on the podcast, but we have discussed it before.
Yeah.
Do you,
Shit in your pockets during a car journey gets
Or
fucking
any
irritating.
period of sitting.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have shit in my pockets
I've,
all day at work, which doesn't cause me any trouble. And the moment I come home, I'm like, this is really uncomfortable. I always remove them immediately upon returning home.
Yeah, like my mobile is
Yeah.
normally in my pocket all the time when I'm out. But
Yeah. Doesn't seem to bother me when I'm like
yeah.
sitting at work or anything.
I'm in the car or something. It's like, oh, shit in my pockets. And I gotta
Yeah.
get all this out and put it in the centre console and I forget to take it with me.
Yeah. And then your wallet is always in.
Oh,
whatever it
crap.
is.
My wallet's in the bloody car.
And my car keys. Oh no.
But, yeah. But that one's not so much of a problem now that I have that one, that, like, not actually a key, because it's just in my pocket all the time.
Yeah, the not
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
The approaching key.
I never have to worry about potentially forgetting it. Although, well, actually, maybe that's the problem. That one time I do take it out of my pocket and I put it in the center console, because I'm so used to it being in my pocket and me just, like, not thinking about it. I'll get out of the car one time and it'll just
Assume
be
it's
there.
locked.
But then presumably I still have to lock it manually, so then presumably there'll be a moment where it's like, I can't lock my car.
Yeah.
And I'll remember. It's not like one of those totally keyless ones where it's just unlocked all the time, the key's nearby.
Yeah, they're quite common though, aren't they? Increasingly.
Increasingly. Like there's that version of the new Ford Kuga or something that is, if you're near the car and you put your foot out towards the bumper, the rear bumper, it will open the boot for you.
If you what?
You have to sort of like do a kicking action towards the back
You
of
don't
the
have
car.
to do a
You
kicking
don't actually-
action. You just have to have something in the range of the sensor.
Well, it's like it's underneath the rear bumper. There's a
Yeah.
sensor, and so they show it like by you like putting your foot out. And
Right.
it looks a bit like a kicking action, but they don't actually kick it.
Okay,
And then the boot opens for you
that's cool.
in case your hands are full. Is the idea.
Oh, that's clever. Okay,
But that would only work if the car unlocked itself and the key was nearby.
yeah. That
Unless,
is
unless they don't give a shit about the boot.
But that's like the biggest access port to the car.
Well, it depends whether you can get through to the inside of the car from the boot.
I mean, a Cougar, it's fucking massive. Yeah,
I
it'd
guess
be
so.
like a Land Rover or anything. It'd just be get in, clamber over the chair, hotwire the car. Problem solved.
damn. That's a cool feature. I want that now. Like that.
You don't have a car and you don't drive.
I want that in a car. So when I buy a car, I will have that feature. Obviously,
Well,
if I
probably
had
by
a
the
car,
time- probably
there'd be
by the
no
time
use if I already had a car, would it? It wouldn't have that feature. They'd be like, well,
by
what's
the
the
time you
point?
buy a car, it will be in the car you buy.
Well, not necessarily.
Depends if it's popular, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like at the moment it's an optional extra. Like even on the top model Cougar,
Yeah.
you have to pay for it to be added.
I'm sure.
So that might mean that it's not
Cougar.
Cougar.
The Cougar.
Is
Is that a Ford?
It's not.
What is the
Because they
Cougar?
did do the Cougar before,
Yeah.
which was like a low slung sort of sporty saloon
Type American type deal.
But now it's Cougar, K-U-C,
Oh, no.
K-U-G-A.
K like a
Cougar.
car.
And so it's either Cougar or it's Cougar.
Cougar. Okay.
Ford Cougar.
Ford Cougar. Is that a brand new
Mother
car?
Cougar.
Mother Cougar. Is that a new car then?
No, they've done a couple of iterations of it.
Okay.
This is just,
Welcome to the car cast.
the new one's pretty shit looking, in fairness.
Okay. But you can open the boot with your hands full.
I think they even advertise it in brown. just like
In brown.
It's the worst car.
What colour should we have for our adverts?
Brown. It's the worst car colour.
It's the next gen colour.
That and gold Mercedes, like are the most horrible things.
Yeah. Maroon is a bit boring. Metallic maroon.
That's alright. It's not so bad. And it's not really ever maroon anymore, is it? Unless it's like on a Kia. It's like that sort of purple tinted one.
Right.
So it's more of a deep purple.
I saw one of those super matte finish BMWs.
Oh yeah, I've seen one of those. Yeah,
but apparently they're a
Strange
nightmare to maintain.
Oh really?
Yeah, scratches and stuff are really a problem. You can't just because the moment you start buffing it like a normal car, you just
go shiny.
Yeah, it goes shiny.
They do look weird, I have to say.
Yeah,
up close, you're just like, is that? Oh no, that's how it's meant to be. Weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah,
It's cool though.
Like it just makes me want to get a piece of chalk there and start drawing like.
Yeah, exactly.
Draw a giant. The thing is,
That'd be sweet.
if it were,
Like you could change the design on your car every day,
You could
or
draw-
after it rains.
you could
every
draw a
night.
giant comedy penis on top of your neighbour's car, and actually he won't mind. You know, you
Well,
just wash it.
Much, yeah. He might be.
Well, yeah, it's just probably
He didn't notice until
until he
it's-
noticed. Yeah, there'd be a giant comedy penis on top of his car.
Yes.
Could you have an uncomedy penis?
I was going to comment on that, but I'd say maybe we shouldn't.
Probably.
Like a very anatomically correct drawing of a penis.
That would be funny though. There's no
A work
avoiding
of
it.
art.
Man, that cloud is perfectly framed in that window from my point of view. It's like ding.
I can see no cloud.
Precise. You're missing
Surprising.
clouds. Yes.
Like it's actually suddenly changed to spring.
The first and probably only nice day of spring.
Well, yes, that was okay.
Yeah, it's been a few.
Yeah, it's been so
It's a good week. Been a good week.
Finally.
But it's not. I'm still annoyed by it because despite the fact that I'm
How can you be annoyed by this?
I was probably complaining about it before, how like it was just like it's still fucking winter in April, and now it's spring. But then I realised that the actual the reason is like in winter it's too fucking cold, in summer it's too fucking hot, in spring I just get annoyed because I have to keep opening and closing windows all the time because it's too cold at night and too hot during the day.
You can't regulate that shit. Yeah.
This is perfect for me. This is my ideal. So it's like sunny and
I know.
cool.
It could be a tiny bit hotter than this for me.
No, fuck it.
It's like this is fine, but you know this room's going to get hot in like half an hour, and then you'd have to open a window, and then it'd get cold again, and you'd have to close the window, and it's like.
Yeah, that's why, like, in our places, they just have air conditioning with a thermostat thing.
Do you not have like a circumstance where you can just open a window just a little bit?
I don't think even opening at the moment, at this point, where it's still actually quite cold at night, it's just like having even the smallest opening on my windows is still slightly too
night is
much.
still a problem. I agree. Night is still a problem.
You have to open and close, you have to draw your curtains every day, regardless of having to regulate the temperature. So you could just
Not in my
combine
window.
that. Just Sorry?
No, in my room.
Oh, you just do the
A, I don't
curtains.
have curtains, I only have blinds, and B, they're closed all the time.
Oh, right, yeah.
and
yeah.
enough light still comes through that you can see pretty easily.
Yeah, they're pretty shit blinds.
Oh, okay, so you don't have that, but
No.
everyone else in the world has to like adjust something on their window every day. Pretty much, right?
My office doesn't have a blind or a curtain.
But you're
What
only
does
in there
it
during the day,
It's
so
just
that's okay.
open.
Oh, right, so at night you just close the door.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
You just don't go in that room.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it's like I know the curtains are supposed to like hold in the heat slightly from the window and shit. But if you have a good window, it makes no fucking difference. It's like it's just
that you're aware of.
oh
it.
no, because it's just
Yeah, well, it's not really for the heat, is it? It's more like...
and it's not exactly at night. It's not exactly that it can really go, but you can't get like warmer in the room from the sun shining through it 'cause it's fucking black.
No, that's true. But then maybe there's no real negative effect. But I don't know, you could lose light irradiation out of it, I guess. Heat, light type heat. If you have the windows closed, they might reflect the heat and light in the room back towards you.
Yeah,
They're like
yes.
whitey.
Well, I'm sure that's not really. I think the whole point of curtains is more to like
Privacy. or something.
privacy and like so that when the sun comes up, you don't wake up immediately.
Oh,
kind of
really?
important.
Is that your feeling?
Yeah, I get that. When as soon as it starts getting light earlier in the year, then my sleep patterns go to shit.
Yeah.
And it's like they've started to calm down now.
What, just because you get the light and then you wake up?
I get that pretty bad.
You'd think I would, considering how much light comes through those blinds, but it doesn't really affect me, apparently. Then again, I go to bed at 3:30 and wake up at 12, so I'm kind of fucked to start with. So,
yeah.
light, whatever.
It'd be like if you woke up, you'd be boned. So you've been doing it for a while, in fairness, so you've probably just got...
Is that your exact equilibrium?
So for some
3:30
reason.
till 12? What happens if you stay up later than 3:30? Do you then wake up later?
No, I normally would just wake up at 12 regardless.
Right,
12 is a mysteriously precise time where I'm always somehow awake.
Okay.
Sometimes it's early. It was early today, which sucked. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Then again, I went to bed early, and I was like, I was feeling so fucking tired. It's been really annoying.
Early as in what?
It was like 1.
Okay.
I've been feeling so fucking tired some nights recently, and it's really starting to annoy me. There's probably something wrong with me.
I've been really tired this week. I feel like I need to do more exercise or something because it's like it's not right to be this tired. I mean, I have been busy, I suppose, but not like massively.
Yeah, I've been tired this week.
It's dumb.
Okay.
Don't know.
Everyone's tired.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like I had to go to bed quite early last night because I was just. Gnome said I was getting a bit stupid. Was the phrase she used? Like I wasn't. Well, I can't remember, but I think I was trying to sing bits of Carmen really badly, and it's like, why are you doing that? It's like I don't know.
It's not the sugar like usual.
Probably just me, but like even I wasn't quite sure why I was doing it. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm probably quite tired.
You're just remembering that classic Hey Arnold episode.
Yeah, probably. Like mysterious cut at the end.
Yeah, that was mysterious.
But the other trouble with my sleep is that I can't sleep for longer than how long I sleep because then my back starts hurting and then I have to get up.
Oh, that's handy.
Which really sucks.
No, it's handy.
It's handy apart from when you still feel tired and you're like, I'd really like to lie down, but I fucking can't. I have to sit in a chair.
That's bizarre. Is it?
Are you the elephant man?
Is it your bed or something? Or is it what's wrong with your back?
Just I've been sitting in a chair for many, many years.
Oh, I see. All you do is you transfer between a vertical.
Well, it's my
horizontal, bed. And
well, it's
chair.
my general opinion of how I sleep is that like I actually have a plan because I sleep on my front. It reverses the bend of slouching over in a chair all day. In a chair, you're slouching over forwards all day. But when you're sleeping on the front because of the pillow, you're naturally curving it the other way.
You know what? I kind of have to agree. I kind of have to agree with you on that one. That does make perfect sense, except for the part where you lay on your front and you go to sleep on your front. That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's not weird. It's fine.
It's fucking odd.
Yeah, that's quite strange.
Although, no, I wouldn't say it's always on the front. It's like 50-50 on the side.
Yeah.
Never on the back, though. That's just weird and weird.
No, the back's fine. It just causes horrific snore problems.
Well, there's that. But
It does for you.
I don't understand how people sleep on their backs. It just feels weird. It's like, what do you do with your arms?
Well, normally, no, you're right. I don't purposefully sleep on my back.
Yeah.
I don't fall asleep in that position.
Right.
I have to be on the side, but I will wake up on my back, and I will be kicked awake whilst on my back.
Yeah, you start off sort of on your side, and then during you just move constantly from one side to the other, I think.
Yeah, but I do it via the front rather than the back.
Yeah, you're rolling on the wrong part of the axis. But yes.
Is it harder to... I'm trying to work out, if you're rolling on your front like that, is it harder to maintain some kind of quilt equilibrium? So you're properly wrapped?
Not for me. Well, I don't know. Normally... It starts coming off by the morning, but by that point it's like, that's time to get up, so it's fine. It gives me another incentive to actually get out of bed, because it's like, half of me's cold. Oh, well, I guess, fuck it, let's go.
I can't bother to pull the fabric towards me.
It's not pulling it, it's because it's sort of scrunched up in weird ways, so you have to kick it and jiggle just to get it laid out better again.
You only have to go a meter though, and then you're done.
It's like
that's it for the day.
On the occasions when I do that, it's just just put up with sitting up for a moment, spreading the cover out, and then lay back down. It's if you're going to do it, put in the effort to do it properly. Don't try and jiggle it or shuffle it around.
I mean, do one of those dramatic
yeah,
sort of
just throw it out and then
sounds
the technical term for the
I don't know if there is there a word for that other than throwing it out is a single word to describe that action.
Yeah, billow or something. I don't know.
Billow.
I guess you could billow it.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word right now.
No.
But that's why I like.
Because that's a word.
It's on yeah.
It's one of them.
Yeah. One of those words that sound like sounds. Onomatopoeic words.
Okay. So now that we've talked about that,
The sun makes hot.
what else are we talking about?
Well, the other downside to it being sunny is that kids play football outside my house more often.
Which means you'll be hearing that on future podcasts.
Well,
Every other podcast.
yeah. I mean, most of the time they're pretty like it doesn't turn up on the podcast quite so badly when we record like that. But the biggest downside is they play football.
They kick out of your house.
And they kick
Get off
out
our
of the
lawn,
house.
kids.
And the ball will go in the back garden occasionally. And worse, they will hit the fucking satellite dish.
No.
And it's like, and it's on the other wall, isn't it? So it was a pretty fucking terrible kick for it to go there. But they hit the satellite dish and they knocked the sensor off the end of it.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that was a shit. I was getting changed at the time, ready to go out, and Gnome went and just stormed out of the house and tried to find this kid's dad. And they had a bit of a confrontation, and he came over and tried to reattach it, which thankfully it did. And I cable tied it back on just to be on the safe side this morning.
Great.
But it's like, the funny thing about this story is, and as I say, I wasn't really first-hand involved in it because I was like upstairs at the time it all happened. And then the funny thing is that they actually we got a knock on the door, and the kids told us that they'd done it, which is fair enough. I don't expect that of kids.
Well, was their ball also in the garden?
No, it wasn't. No, it's the wrong side of the house. But that quickly faded into, this is typical kid behaviour, because it wasn't the guy who kicked it who was telling us. It was his mates dobbing him in.
Yeah.
And the guy that kicked it had fucking run off and gone home.
That's exactly kid behaviour. Yeah. I would have done that.
But,
either run off or dog on you.
No, I kind of expected all of them to run the fuck away, That would be more typical kid behaviour. It's like, oh shit, everyone go!
Well, yeah, sometimes. It depends what. There's probably a threshold of how serious something is before everyone just fucking legs it.
So, yeah. So, at least I still have telly.
Well, your problem is that your garden wall is actually a wall.
Yeah.
That's just asking for footballs to be kicked against it.
I think they're smarter than that. They don't.
Well, what are they doing? Nighttime slam? I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's obvious, right?
They attempt to play proper football on that green, despite the fact there's like a tree in the middle of the fucking pitch. But
awesome.
It's like danger football.
Well, that's the problem with all these, that's really the problem with, modern green spaces in towns, is
there's houses all the
you want to play football on them, but there's either roads or houses on all sides.
I've seen them
There's nowhere to kick the ball through to a goal, because then it just goes onto someone's house or road.
Yeah, well, I've seen them hit the cars before. But thankfully, there's been no damage to them, as far as I can tell. But no, and they hit our window once. And it hasn't broken. So in nearly 3 years, we've had one window hit.
There hasn't been grass there for 3 years.
Well, no, true. It probably only grew after one, but
they just need to invent some kind of easy to deploy force field that you can just erect around whatever space you want to play in, and then
we just need emergency shutters over every window. Like, oh shit! It's football time.
Maybe.
The trouble with that is it kind of stops the light coming in.
Yeah.
Perhaps you need just an additional perspex layer in front of the actual glass.
Yeah.
To just come down when it's like, oh no, football danger zone.
But then that kind of relies on you doing it.
Yeah, maybe.
It should be you need the children to do it. They need to have a portable children force field device that they can set up that's not dangerous in any way.
Caution, children!
Yeah, exactly.
And they're just walking along the street and it's emitting some kind of warning. Whoop, whoop, children! Whoop!
They could put some kind of technology in the ball for the kids to play with, where you mark out the area in GPS where you're allowed to play,
By
And then-
putting out a small, like a cone or something, so it's something that
Yeah,
kids can
yeah,
understand.
or something. I don't know. This
And
is
then
this is a dumb idea.
No, it's
and
not.
then when the sensor detects that it's flying over the boundary at like a speed or like a height above the ground, it just pops the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Or just deflates it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be amazing.
So then you have to keep control of the goddamn thing. And if it sort of dribbles off, then it's not so bad.
And then if it goes out, and it also helps you retrieve it if you overkick it, because then it can't, when it deflates, it
can't roll
loses
off.
its aerodynamics and it falls to the ground quickly, so it doesn't go over people's into
But you
cars.
see, the problem with that is that it's entirely optional, so no one will fucking do it.
It's not entirely optional. It's a kit. The ball comes with these 4 goalpost things. If it's
Well,
not
it won't-
inside the zone, then it won't fucking work.
It won't inflate.
Yeah, it's automatic.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, maybe it shouldn't be like a pop. It should just be a quick deflate.
Yeah,
Deflate, and then
just
you can
opens the
reflate
valve.
it. Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. But
That's my crazy idea.
yeah, no, actually, but they just buy a normal ball.
Yeah, because it'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
But yeah,
But it's a safety feature. I bet parents would be on that.
yeah,
It's a safety feature for your children.
rich,
Pay us money.
yeah,
fairly rich parents.
Wow.
they won't
Living
get.
where you are.
It's £200 for a football. What happens if it gets a punch us? Another £200 for an additional football kit.
Nah, you'd have it'd be like replacement. It wouldn't be able to get a puncher because of this weird whatever fucking inflation device we're using here. It's not just an air bladder, probably.
Yeah.
But then would these kids be sitting around like trying to work out, oh shit, these cones aren't in Wi-Fi range or something of the ball? It's like it won't fucking inflate.
I'm sure the range limit would probably be big enough for most.
And
football
like they'd
kits
have to
nowadays.
carry around in this giant rucksack these like cone towers or
They're
something.
only tiny, like little mini cones.
Maybe, but they might need solar panels on them or something.
You could do it with just the ball and have one GPS receiver in the ball, and then you had to set
It
it
just
up by
gets too
walking to
far.
each corner and go beep, corner 1, and then walk to the
That'd
other
be
corner.
fairly
Yeah, but
precise,
I
wouldn't
think-
it?
and GPS
Yeah.
polling isn't that fast, is it?
No. It's a,
It might be not quite fast enough, so it's flying through the air to cause a rapid deflate.
before it hits your satellite dish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
It also depends on how dense the lever is, because maybe at that point it could still be travelling at some rate and just go flump and knock it off anyway.
knock it off. Yeah. Yeah, but it would discourage the kids from like kicking it
I guess.
way out at high
Well, I think
speed.
they know not to break shit. It's not like they
Do they though? Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, true. I don't know. Especially I can come up with that right now. After we find the
It's quite a
idea.
good one.
Well, what you
You
really
could have a literal Kickstarter.
well, what you really need is that wherever there's like a green space around it, that they can there's a way of just erecting fences out of the ground. So it's just
Or
like
laser
so it's just
grids.
like we intend, yeah, we
Laser grids,
intend, we intend to play football, or use magnets. Everything has fucking magnets, so the ball can't go out. So it's like what? Pull it back,
I think that might make the ball a bit heavy.
or a ceiling rope, because outside has a ceiling.
The ball is just attached to midair.
Yeah.
You could have a thing that was that literally was like the Hawkeye radar system from the
Yeah.
with a turret, you know.
Yeah, which
And
shoots the
it
fuck
could,
out of the
it
ball.
could shoot the ball, but then I thought, no, you just want a grappling like hook. You want to
That'd be a lot more
attach
difficult,
the
though.
ball and pull it back if it's flying out.
That would have to be pretty precise.
Yeah,
and the
true.
speed of it. And what if something was in the way of it? Like,
Oh,
oh, shit,
yeah.
you grabbed a kid by the face.
Yeah, that's true. You'd have to have it super high.
But it's not like shooting it with a gun is going to be like,
any better. Yeah,
Ow!
laser or something. Burn a hole in it. The super high power chemical laser is the best solution.
Clearly.
Ow, my most Anyway, this is a podcast about video games,
What?
ostensibly.
It's about ball games at the moment.
it's about games. Something.
You got any other games to talk about?
Not really. That's why we need to start doing that this shit.
What
Okay.
Anything else happened in the last 2 weeks? And
Yeah,
notes,
news.
you guys.
News.
Personal news.
Personal news?
Well, no, that was just like anything happened to us over the last 2 weeks. This
Right.
is the personal
You
news.
got any
random.
other personal news, Rob?
No.
No. Sorry, Burgess.
I'm thinking.
He's thinking, he's scanning past the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What's been going on?
I've eaten
What's
a lot
occurring?
of shit.
Really?
I had like plenty of burgers and
Oh, that sounds
And
tasty.
then after there's a pizza.
I had a burger last night. It was pretty good.
I had a pizza last night, I think. Wait, or was that the other day?
Did you get piz'd?
Yeah, I might have got piz'd.
Totally a thing.
You don't need to follow it with totally a thing every time.
I'm trying to make it a thing.
Yeah, but saying that it's a thing doesn't help make it a thing. In fact, that probably helps not make it a thing.
Emphasising the thingness.
Yeah, you have to let
It's like
it
you can't
naturally
force
evolve.
memes.
Yeah, yeah,
That's funny.
exactly. Force memes are bad.
Well, unless they're about Star Wars.
Or Millhouse.
But that's a better.
Yeah, I know, but that's why it's the only one.
The only force meme that's good?
Yeah.
Is the Millhouse one. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, here's some not really game-related news, I guess.
Okay.
Not that we're on game news, but it just came to my mind, so I'd say it before I forget it. They announced that they're going to make Star Wars movies every year.
Oh, yes.
What?
Every year, starting next year or something.
Yeah.
Right?
What?
So they're going to do... they're going to do a trilogy, one every 2 years, and in between they're doing individual character films like the Yoda film or whatever.
What?
Yeah, that's how they're going to milk that shit.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it's going to be basically like
Shit?
the Marvel license or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
What's the equivalent? Which hasn't been too bad, but
No.
I mean, I think,
Spider-Man hasn't been great.
Well,
no, but that's not even.
no, that's
that's
Sony,
Sony, isn't it?
keeping hold of that license.
I can't say Disney have been doing that well recently. What was that John Carter of Mars thing? That was a
That was an
disaster.
alright film.
Everyone said that was the worst thing ever. I haven't heard anyone say a good thing about
No,
it.
I didn't mind that film. It was dumb, but reasonably entertaining. And that's all I need from a film.
Okay, I'm never going to watch that.
Let's put this in a different way.
Oh, no,
Oz, the Great and Powerful. Now
Yeah.
it's a shit film.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad.
Well,
Just
that's
bad.
Disney, isn't it?
And this is the annoying thing. I've become right. Let's talk films. I've seen a lot of films.
Let's talk films.
Right. Let's talk films. There's Filmcast.
Filmcast.
I've seen quite a lot of films over the last couple of weeks. And,
Cool. You
like-
see lots of films, much more than I do.
Unlimited Car.
Yeah, exactly. I need.
Not that I'm advertising Cineworld or anything, but it's a good deal.
Well, they have those at most
Yeah.
chains, don't they?
Like, yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah,
I think
Odeon
there's
must have
probably
an
a
equivalent,
Vue
or
equivalent.
Vue must have an equivalent.
Vue.
Vue.
Vue. It's Vue. It's
Vue.
not Vue.
It's not spelt right to be Vue. It's Vue.
How is it spelled?
Vue.
Vue.
Vue. Or
Vue.
Vue.
Vindavoo. Vindavoo. La la. Anyway.
What's that? But that sounded OO at the end
That's
of
true.
that.
That's true, it is.
It's Luke. Vue. Vue. So anyway, yeah, Oz the Great and Powerful or whatever it is, that Wizard of Oz prequel thing.
Yeah.
Fucking shit. And this is where I'm getting increasingly annoyed with my views seem to be the polar opposite of film critics' views nearly all the time.
Yeah,
And it's because I don't know. It's Oz is a very well made film. I'll give it that. The visuals are great.
It's got Mila fucking Kunis. How did it go wrong?
This is weird. She's not very good in it.
Oh, right.
And it's she's normally amazing, but I don't think she does pantomime very well.
Right. Fair enough.
When she's playing the Good Witch, she's fine, but without spoiling too much, she basically becomes the Wicked Witch of the West.
That's the entire premise of the whole
It
thing.
happens halfway through.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
And then from that moment onwards, she's goddamn awful.
So she turns into Margaret Thatcher and then...
Yes.
So
the Iron Lady.
It just proves that she must. It just proves that she's not inherently evil. Then,
Yeah,
if she can't pull it off,
it's just the acting.
she must be a good person.
The acting was
Maybe.
shonky all over. It's
James Franco, isn't it?
apart from
Is it James Franco?
yeah, it is James Franco. Yeah,
I'm not sure about him.
no, neither am I.
Speaking of films, because I'm just going to.
He's still talking about this one.
Hang on.
Do you really want to?
There's one other thing I want to say.
Yeah.
In juxtaposition with the thing I said that the CG is pretty, and the production of the world and stuff is very good. Apart from when they need to composite a human into the image, for some reason,
Most of the time.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when they need to do something with the person, it's a camera angle that's not possible in reality, or
Right.
there's an animation that they want to do with a torso that's not, that they couldn't act or they couldn't practical stunt. It's it's terrible. That stuff is freaking. It's the worst compositing I've seen in ages, even from B films, I suppose, like Clash of the Titans and shit like that. Terrible action films. It's this is just it's weird. And and it was considered fresh by Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, fuck this shit. even Movie Bob, who I normally find is pretty on the money for film reviews and stuff, they said, yeah, this is a great film. And I'm like, no, fuck you. You're fucking wrong. It's awful. They didn't even make the most of Zach Braff. He's fucking in it. And, he's not funny. God damn it.
Yeah. He's made a few of his own films that weren't that funny, though, hasn't he?
Garden State was okay.
It wasn't that funny, though, was it?
No, but it's a good film.
Yeah, it was
I like it.
It was alright.
Speaking of films,
Yeah, go.
and potentially good films, just because this is the one thing I can add to this topic. I actually watched a film.
Oh, yes?
And watched Inception again.
You watched Inception again?
I don't think that
It's
counts.
only for the second time ever.
I need to watch that again,
Yeah, it's
actually.
good. Yeah.
We need to, because I need to go back and rewind and listen to our original discussion on Inception and see if the questions that I was asking there I can
Kip is the
answer.
Blu-ray, so we could probably do that.
All right, that'd be cool. I think I've said a few times we should, but you've always just watched it or something.
Yeah.
That's
I've seen it a few
That's
times.
why I hadn't watched it up to, apart from not having
Yeah.
access to it necessarily, but you shouldn't watch that film more than once every year.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Scott Pilgrim. You can't overdo. You should try not to overdo it.
Over Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By that logic, you're fucking overdue for a Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, we might be.
I think we might be.
God damn that film. It's awesome.
Yeah. I saw a film this week which I wasn't expecting to be. Well, I don't know. It was just a random text. It was like, oh, we can't watch Breaking Bad this week because the MCR is locked or something. But do you want to come see Silver Linings Playlist at Emma?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Have you seen this?
No, that was
Okay.
one that passed me by.
So it was
'cause like an Oscar bait film, really.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know any of that, and it was like it's a rom. I looked up. It's like, oh, it's a rom com. So I was like, oh,
Ish.
fine, that'll be
Yeah.
all right. And I watched that. I was like, hang on a minute. Like, this girl's really good in this. What the hell's going on? And then I came out afterwards. It was like, oh, she won Best Actress for that.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And it got nominated for all
It's like-
5 major categories. I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, that's the bit I don't quite understand. It's like it doesn't really fit in. Or I say it was Oscar bait. I didn't know that at the time, but
It's not Oscar bait. When you
in
say
its
Oscar
design,
bait,
but sorry, that was the wrong phrase to use. Normally, there's a certain type of film like
Yeah.
Lincoln or something, or Warhorse, that's
or
just
Benjamin Button or something.
yeah, something like that. That's
something.
obviously that. I mean, it attracted them, but I don't know why.
Mm.
I didn't go and see it because it looked a bit crap, and I'm not a Bradley Cooper fan.
No,
I don't think he's the best actor.
He was quite good in it, but I don't think he's the best or anything.
And and again, it was one of those trailers that gave away all of the salient points.
Yeah.
I know
They all
that's,
do that.
And I know that's
Fucking nightmare.
very typical of rom-coms, and and it has to get by with the stuff that happens outside of the trailer that makes it. But sometimes it's just a little too much. I'm fed up of fucking. The trailers seem to be getting longer, if you ask me, because I go quite a lot. It's like you see a lot of trailers, and you see a lot of variation of those trailers. Like you'll see 2 or 3 different types for the same film. Star Trek, which I really fucking want to see. At this point, I'm totally pissed off with their marketing department because there are so many different trailers that I've seen most of the action in this film now. I'm pretty sure.
They said
And
that
it's
about one of the later Spider-Man films, that there were so many trailers that you could basically piece together the entire movie.
That was the last one, I think. The Amazing Spider-Man. I think
the new one.
Yeah, there was a lot of trailers for that. And, yeah. It wasn't a very good film. But,
So you didn't need to. You could just watch the spliced together trailers and there you go.
yeah.
25 minutes long and you don't need the rest
It
of the
probably
film.
would have been a better experience.
Doesn't matter how good the film is, it's got Emma Stone in them, so pretty much.
Yeah, we'll see what they do
Anyway.
with the next one.
Yeah.
Um,
And Garfield or whatever is all right.
he's all right. I just thought the
the actual
bad guy was terrible.
Yeah.
The way it was shot most of the time was pretty awful.
Yeah. And they had to do a bloody origin story again. It's like, why
Yeah.
bother with origin stories sometimes?
Well, I suppose they kind of have to if they're rebooting it, but
Yeah, I guess.
Well, if
Yeah.
it's good, they have to if they're going to reboot it if the origin story is actually different. If it's just the same origin story, but they want to start the universe over, maybe not.
Well, it's always basically the same
Yeah, well,
with most of them. I mean, the guy that doesn't really have an origin story, I guess, in terms of Superland is the Joker, right? Doesn't really have one, but
No.
then they don't bother to do it,
well,
which is good.
they sort of hint at it. They don't really show it, but it's sort of expositioned.
Well, he does
in-
he gives 5 different explanations
Yeah.
for his own origin, which is
So
pretty
it's-
cool. In Dark Knight, that was
Yeah.
the best of those films by quite some margin.
Yes,
I thought.
it is. It's by
Rises was good, but it wasn't
weakest
as,
of the 3.
Yeah, true. It was weakest, yeah.
Speaking of superheroes,
Yeah.
in actual news,
News!
I guess, because we haven't played this game, so we can't talk about it in gameplay, but that Injustice game came out,
Yeah.
which is basically Mortal Kombat with superhero characters.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It looks alright,
Yeah.
but it has some weird-ass fucking mechanics.
Well, they're
Like
kind of cool.
Like the wager thing is odd.
Well,
If you said in the middle of a fight, you can do a certain move that causes a wager moment,
Yeah,
which
but
gives each player can then wager a certain amount of their super bar
Yeah.
against each other. And then I don't know how it plays out after that, if it's just like a button mash or if some sort of quick time event
no, I think it's just
or...
who has the highest, who bet the most.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. But even so, it's a stupid mechanic. It's like, because
It's fine. I just don't think.
it's like a fighting game is supposed to be entirely skill-based, and then there's this like entirely luck-based thing. So
It's
you
not
just,
luck,
you
though.
just put all of your super in.
Well,
shouldn't
yeah,
you?
exactly.
Well,
So
you just both go all in.
yeah,
immediately.
it's just like it's not actually the way it's going to play out to anyone who's going to play that game and use that mechanic is you're just always going to put maximum in, and then
I thought there was something else involved, that it's not just like a who beat who, like there's like a mash-off or something. Or...
well, I think it
'cause that would make more sense.
Yeah, that would
it
make more
changes
sense.
depending on whether it changes depending on whether you're the one initiating or defending it.
Okay.
Like the result, like if you win on defense, you get something different to if you win on attack.
Okay.
So it actually sort of maybe gives you a reason to do it at different times.
I don't know. It sort of like comes across as like
Well, it's
one of the most important things about a fighting game is the flow.
Well,
It
yeah.
comes across as completely flow break.
Well, a lot of things in that game do really, like all the level transitions and shit.
Are they not? I never normally have so much of a problem with those because they're kind of hands off.
Yeah, but it's
You know
still
what I mean? You
breaking
don't
the
have to.
flow.
You don't have to suddenly change your play think. I suppose play thinking. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good way of describing that. You know,
That sounds like something from 1984.
yeah,
Plaything.
play think. Well, the mode you're in, I guess.
Yeah,
and
sure.
And concentrating.
The
You
zone.
don't have to suddenly switch out how you're thinking about the scenario.
Well, I think the thing that's more would break my flow more in that game would be the fact that when the round ends, it just stops in the and you just stand up.
Started thinking about
It's like-
periods there.
Well, what the way it's actually laid out is you have 2 health bars, but that's basically the equivalent of the rounds. So when you lose all of your first health bar, the action stops for a moment, and like the dude who's just lost his health bar falls over and then stands up, and the other guy's like "Grr," and does a stupid little mini victory pose in the middle of the thing, and then it just carries on. So it's
That's
not like a
kinda
separate.
cool.
It's sort of cool, except people have been bitching about this, how that because that means that the other person's health bar might be part of the way down through their first health bar, and then there'll be the end of that round again, but sooner because they've gone through the end of their health bar.
You know what? I think that's neat.
And it also
that's
means
a nice experiment.
Well, yeah, but it also means that like because the health you don't have a specific amount of health in each round essentially. So there's no real way of making a comeback unless you make an exceptional comeback.
I see a point. Okay, yeah.
You can't win one round and then lose one round and then win another round. You just win or lose over the entire course of the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I see your point. That is... It's like, it's hard to tell whether that's fairer or not, really, isn't it? Because it's like, I suppose it's fairer because it's your performance of the entire game.
Yeah.
The entire fight, as opposed to, like, you could have a shit round and then still get away with it and have their 2 close rounds and come out on top.
Yeah.
You know, when technically perhaps the other player overall might play better by that metric.
You just,
I don't know.
I guess like people who
Perhaps it
are...
prevents cheaping in a way, because you know you can throw out some seriously cheap tactics sometimes in quite frequently in fighting games, and you know it win the round for you, and then
I think it's just people who are saying that are thinking too much in the traditional frame of fighting games. It's like if you're going to take this to a tournament or whatever, you just have it be the whole fight.
yeah, well,
That's just one round.
and then I guess have a really long round.
Yeah,
maybe.
essentially.
And there is the speaking of the tournament stuff, there's a lot of complaints potentially about the staging because you know one of the things they do in this
They're
is to make,
non-symmetrical.
yeah, they're non-symmetrical, and there's a lot of background interaction, which is cool. You know, I kind of like that from me as a casual fighting player. It'll make the fights kind of more interesting.
Yeah,
but I can understand for tournament play that could be a bit of a bitch. But supposedly you could turn all that off, but that there's a certain mentality in the community that means, well, it's they're not even going to give it the light of day
because it exists. Then it's automatically bad, even if you turn it off,
which is kind of dumb as well. But yeah, that looks relatively interesting.
Looks pretty funny, and apparently the story is retardedly hilarious.
Well,
it's ridiculous. Like, let's make up bullshit excuses for everything.
But that's the thing. NetherRealm got that right with Mortal Kombat, and to date, they're the only ones to get that right in the story.
But in Mortal Kombat,
in a fighting game,
it's like in Mortal Kombat, it's their own universe. They can do whatever the fuck they want with that. Whereas in the DC one, they had to come up with essentially like a new comic branch because it's not like it's based in any of the current comics. It's not like it's New 52 or whatever.
It's alternate reality stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
So they had to come up with another ridiculous way to spin off from the accepted comic universes.
Because they have to explain how, like, the mortal characters in that universe can fight off against the superheroes, and it make sense.
Which is like eat a pill, apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I saw a stupid shot, and it's like, oh, this is the other thing to note. Obviously, Mark Hamill no longer wants to play the Joker and stuff, so it's another voice actor.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, really not as good. Like, not by a long shot.
No.
It's sort of trying to do the same sort of thing, if you know what I mean, like trying to do the same mannerisms, the same joke. He's trying to be the same Joker, let's put it that way, but just not nearly as animated, I suppose, not nearly as believable in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's like there's, and that might be something to do with the script, to be honest, because the shots, some of what I've seen is like really done. Like the Joker gets shot at one point.
Wow.
And he sort of just, and nothing happens to him, and he just goes, in the middle of a fight, I should be dead, and then beats up a guy. It's like,
that's dumb. That's just dumb.
Yeah, I should be dead.
What else are you going to say?
Well, I don't know, but it's like, the way he says it is like how I just did it, and it's like, it's not very surprised sounding. I should be dead.
Well, presumably by that point he would have known that would have been the case or whatever, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. I don't know what point in the story this turns up. Is it like have they realised that the pills or what?
Yeah, maybe that
what the fuck is going on?
That must be the realisation moment, I guess. So yeah, that's out.
Yeah. More news.
Gaming news.
Well, gaming news. There it is.
We should say that Far Cry Blood Dragon looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was like last week's news.
I know, but it's like more awesome. There's been more trailers and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, we watched some crazy ass trailers. Looks pretty. It looks incredible.
This is my kind of game, man.
Yeah.
All over my kind of game.
So on Reddit, someone posted the screenshot of the just the game order screen on Steam, and it was like £12. This does not require Far Cry 3 to play.
Yeah,
it's like that's awesome.
It's not a long game, is it?
No,
it's not going to be. It's going to be like a few hours.
Yeah, but that's really cool.
It's kind of. I find it more weird that they tried to attach it to Far Cry at all.
Yeah,
why not just call it Blood Dragon and be done with it?
Oh, I don't know.
Because it's not related in any way.
Well, it kind of
other than the engine.
It's going to have probably some similar assets, although completely.
Yeah, but that doesn't. It's like if it was like Undead Nightmare for.
Yeah.
Then it's the guy in a totally ridiculous thing. It's not like it's the dude from Far Cry got transported and became a cyborg.
Yeah, Undead Nightmare is an alternate reality scenario, isn't it?
Yeah,
this isn't part of the game. This is just them going nuts in a sort of like franchise spin-off sort of way.
Yeah.
This isn't a franchise spin-off.
Yeah.
Really.
I guess.
It's a new game.
Unless it turns out it is, of course. Well, because it could be like.
Could be related.
Could be Vasp is insane and it's an insanity thing or some shit.
I doubt it.
Oh no, I sincerely hope not.
I doubt it severely.
Yeah,
they won't do that.
I mean,
you wake up at the end and it was all a mushroom-induced dream.
I can see them doing that, but I really hope they don't.
So yeah,
I got really confused at first because I naturally got the sort of the Far Cry Crytek link wrong.
Yeah,
because I looked at it and thought, this looks a lot like the old Free Radical vision of cyber stuff.
Right,
you know, how they used to do in Time Splitters.
Yeah,
right down to the sounds that the cyborgs make and stuff like that, with the possible exception of all the swearing. It's...
Yeah,
it looks a lot like one of Free Radical's visions, but who cares? It's not them. It's not even remotely related to them, so, never mind.
does look cool though. Looking forward
This
to
is
it.
what Crytek should have been doing. Let's put it this way. They should have got the free radical guys to fucking, like, you just go nuts. Speaking of which, additional news.
We're still in news. Don't have to re-announce that.
I just like saying news. I feel,
I think we know that by now.
yeah, news sounds, that's a good word.
It is a good word. News.
Despite my, like,
View!
boo!
View.
Points of view!
News!
News.
NEU.
Yeah, there's been more detail coming out about exactly how Crytek are endorsing that Time Splitters Rewind
Right.
project.
Right.
And that they are kind of working together in that, they will... Crytek are talking to these guys on a frequent basis. And as part of the licensing deal, that the agreement in which Crytek have given them to use all the Time Splitters assets, it has to be non-commercial.
Right.
As in, so that's confirmed. The game will be free when it comes out. And they're allowed to use all the model assets and stuff like that from the originals.
Cool.
Which is neat. But there won't really be new content. They're not going to be new characters. There's not going to be new game modes.
Right. So what's it
there's not
based
been-
on? Which game?
All three.
Right.
They're supposedly like a cherry picking of the best stuff.
Oh, okay.
But there will be monkeys.
Of course there'll be monkeys.
But yeah, I don't know. I think this is, again, another sort of promising side. It's still a mod project, so shit could go wrong and it could not happen. But
It probably just takes forever.
yes,
That's what usually happens.
yeah, exactly. But at least this sounds like they're making headway, and fair play to Crytek for getting involved in a sort of loose way.
Mm.
So
Cool.
good news.
Cool.
Time Splitters is coming. Speaking of mod news,
Yeah.
Sonic Unleashed project for Sonic Generations came out, and it's pretty good.
Such as coming out means for on.
It got
It
released.
got finished.
Well, yeah, it got finished, and it's pretty good.
So what is it?
The Unleashed project takes the Sonic, not the Werehog Sonic, but proper Sonic stages from Sonic Unleashed, and
Puts
ports
them
them into the Sonic Generations engine for PC.
Okay.
And it works
Cool.
really quite well. They've had to make their own render pipeline and stuff like that to make some of the visuals work. Because the way they did it was to literally take the level design assets out of Unleashed and then put them into Generations, see how they worked, and then fill in the gaps.
Right.
So they've had to program the gimmicks in and stuff like that obviously weren't in Generations, so they've had to get hands-on to make some of that stuff work. And it's pretty flawless. Apart from, and this is a tiny niggle because I didn't expect them to do anything with this really. The Sonic Generations handling is quite a lot faster than Sonic Unleashed's handling was. So certain bits of the level design don't quite work in the way that they used to because the physics are slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can run through sections fast, you can just jump gaps that otherwise there would be a gimmick to handle or
Right.
stuff like that, and certain bits don't quite flow. And the walking on water shit is still awful. Not because of the physics model, actually, but because the level design of the running on water stuff in Unleashed was fucking awkward. And it's like, yeah, this is the biggest problem with this. The Unleashed level design in places just isn't very good.
Yeah.
It is mostly good, but where it goes wrong, it goes really wrong in terms of a Sonic game. And it's, but well worth getting hold of. It's free. And, Sega haven't yet waded in to say, don't do this shit. So, although Sega are normally pretty cool about it. But,
Yeah. Generally.
so, yeah, get hold of it. I recommend.
Mm.
So it's the DLC that never came.
Yeah.
Why did they originally plan to do it?
Yeah, they originally planned DLC for Generations, or said that they'd made it capable of DLC, and then just released that pinball table.
Yep, and then left.
Yeah. In the typical way that Sega does. Get hold of that. That's cool.
Cool.
Other big news we had. Criterion, I suppose, the note that they're not making a racing game next
Apparently.
is...
Are they...
Going through their history, they don't have much of a heritage of doing outside of racing games, but they have done it, and with some success.
What have they done?
Most recent non-racing game they did was Black, back on the PS2 and Xbox age.
Maybe they'll make Black too. That'd be funny. That was a bit of
won't.
Well, you never know.
Because most of the team that worked on Black went on to make Body Count. which wasn't very well received.
Okay.
Because Black was okay. It was just
Okay.
all about making stuff explode. It wasn't really
Shooting
much of it.
explosive barrels.
Yeah, it was a fun shooter, as opposed to like a serious shooter.
Yeah.
I mean, even they themselves at the time, according to the Wikipedia page, so I can't vouch for the accuracy of this, called it a gun porn game. Take from that what you will. But weirdly, I went back through the history, and it's like I didn't realize they were behind Trick Style, which was a skanky like hoverboard racing game again, but sort of extreme.
Sonic Riders.
Yeah, sort of like just like hoverboard racing with tricks and stunts that you could pull off and stuff like that. And I actually have it on the Dreamcast.
Sonic Riders.
Oh yeah, you had that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that one of the
it was
early
alright.
games? Launch game, wasn't it, for Dreamcast?
I don't know. I entered the Dreamcast world fairly late,
Right.
so
That's
I
true.
don't know if it was or not. It's 99, I
Right.
think, something like that. Yeah, that was all right. So they
But they're not going to do that.
still
are they?
they're not going to do that because that realm has kind of gone out of fashion, and SSX kind of has that tied up. Really,
That wasn't even that big a success when they rebooted that recently.
No.
They look pretty cool though.
it doesn't. I don't think it's a bad game, but that kind of extreme sports games just isn't in. at
The
the
Cool
moment.
Borders 3.
Cool Borders 3 was a great game.
Yeah, it was classic.
I liked that a lot. Did that predate? No, that was probably Cool Borders 3 was probably just after Tony Hawk started taking off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cool Borders 3 was a great game.
It was pretty cool. It was
So different from the previous two. Did you play Cool Borders 1 or 2?
No.
They're basically like Namco racing game, arcade races.
Okay.
Like, do you remember that? Like, because they did that skiing arcade game, didn't they? With the giant,
Oh yeah.
with the actual skis that you sort of like swish around, and you could actually tilt your feet on them to cut into the snow more and stuff like that.
Crazy.
And it's like they played a bit more like those, and that you had to get to the checkpoint before the time ran out, and that kind of shit. And then in Cool Borders 3, they go all sort of like, actually, no, we're going to do this properly. We're going to make a proper snowboarding game. And it was trying to think if anyone had actually beaten them to it. I'm not sure they had. That might have been the first in that.
What, pre sort of SSX stuff?
Yeah, it might have been the first, like, Tony Hawk, sort of serious snowboarding game, I suppose, trying to actually mimic it somewhat.
Hmm.
It was, quality game. Played a lot of that. More than it probably deserved, but I played a lot.
Awesome.
So yeah, what else could Criterion do? Do you reckon they'll do? I don't reckon they'll do a shooter. That market's too crowded.
Well, you never know. There's always space for shooters, that's the thing, isn't it? You can always do something a bit more distinctive, can't you?
I don't know, but as I say, they don't. I think it would be hard to wade into the shooter genre
Yeah, fair enough.
if you've got no experience in it compared to. Because let's be honest, none of the team they probably have has probably worked on a shooter.
Yeah. Don't know where I'd go from racing.
Mech game. So you're basically using it's basically a car engine because you're still using a driving mechanic and you can still have explosions. There you go.
I guess. Yeah.
What, like Mech Warrior?
Like Assault.
They never go as well as... Everyone loves stuff
No,
with
they
robots.
never quite play.
Well, it's because they've stopped doing. It's like the people who actually want to play mech games any longer still want an actual sim. They want it to be more hardcore.
Yeah.
And then when they've tried to do, like, I mean, the idea of the Kinect one was good. It just used the Kinect, which was where it failed.
Yeah.
It's like the actual idea of having shit in the cockpit that you have to manually trigger and talk to your teammates and all that stuff. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it's not with Kinect.
Well, yeah, because I played the original. What's that game called?
Steel Battalion.
Steel Battalion. Yeah, because I played the original Steel Battalion
With the giant
with
controller.
the controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was sweet.
It
Even
took
if-
you like
even-
10 minutes to start the vertical tank
Yeah.
up, didn't
I mean,
it?
it got quite annoying if you died like within the first few seconds of starting the mission, which happened like on mission 5 or something. You could like fuck up the start real easily. Like I remember a bridge collapsing or something, and if you don't just know that the bridge is going to collapse and fucking sprint across the bridge as soon as you possibly can, you're dead. It was from a mechanical, an actual game design standpoint, there was some serious flaws in that mission design. But the way the thing handled and the way you did things with the controller, it was beautiful. Loved it. It's a shame the game around it wasn't very forgiving. Because it played a bit like a Japanese arcade as well, like in the sense that you had lives, or you had a money pool, and if you failed a mission, you have to spend your money pool on getting another mech to do it again. And you could obviously run out of cash, and it would be game over. Start from the beginning.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, fuck. That's kind of hard. Really hard. But I suppose they do that to try and balance out the game's length, I suppose.
Yeah.
Replay it rather than progress. I thought it was classy. Nice, ridiculous experiment.
Yeah. So what's the model? There is a MechWarrior online game, isn't there? That's been...
Yeah.
Is it out?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been out for a while.
But that looked like giant walking tanks.
There's that
and Heat.
Hawken.
Yeah,
as well.
that one.
Yeah, that's a bit different though, isn't it? Hawken is like the more modern, streamlined... No.
Or is that another one?
No, Hawken's
Or is that...
like...
That's Mech Commander, isn't it?
Hawken's kind of like an FPS, except you're jumping around, except in mechs, yeah. And that looked pretty cool, but that was a sort of indie-looking thing. But I think they're getting there with that. I think there was a beta for that.
That's out. Well,
For Hawken.
you can play it now, and it's
I didn't think it was out, but I know you can play it.
It's as out as Planetside 2 is.
Right, fair enough.
You can buy cash for its free to play
Planetside 2 is
store.
actually out. You can still buy cash in games that aren't out. Like, you could still buy cash in Guild Wars and Planetside before those came out.
And Dota, technically, I suppose. But
Yeah.
Just because you can spend cash on it doesn't mean it's not out. Or whatever.
it's out enough.
Fair enough, yeah.
It's there. It's a thing. I know what you mean. Mech games. I always want them to be good, but I'm never really satisfied.
Speaking of games that are unsatisfying.
Oh dear.
Well, I don't know why, but like the past week or so, I really wanted to play some kind of farming game.
Of course you have.
Farmville.
Yeah, I know,
Sim
exactly.
Farm.
I dug out my copy of Sim Farm and installed that. And it's like, well, this is close.
Does it run?
Oh, well, my DOS-box installed with Windows 3.1, yeah.
Okay.
How would you describe that kind of urge? What makes you, like...
I don't know!
I need to farm springers here.
It's like, apart from, like, Agriculture Simulator, or is it actually just called Farming Simulator?
Farming Simulator, the classic.
Like, which we haven't played.
No.
It's like, where does this come from?
Well, I mean, simulators of stuff, like all those ridiculous simulators, like bus driving simulator.
Euro Truck.
Yeah, Eurotrack and all that. I mean, that's a very specific kind of thing.
But
It's like, I wouldn't want farming simulator, because this is the key. I've kind of worked this much out. I don't want a farming simulator, I want a farm simulator.
Right.
Oh, I think
I don't want to actually do the farming. I want to. It's like SimCity.
Yeah,
like
you want to manage it. Yeah, and have like the crop rotations.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Oh, I heard something dumb. I think Farming Simulator is coming to Xbox.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and PS3. I think.
That's so dumb.
But yeah, so I was like, I installed Sim Farm, and it's like, well, this is okay, apart from it's hella old.
Yeah,
and it has the thing that annoyed me about it that quickly made me stop playing it was like, it has a thing where it shows you like the next 10 years or whatever per field, and you can like put crops in it and tell them when to harvest, and that's how you put regular fertilizing or whatever. Except the trouble is that it automatically fills it in with the same crop over and over and over without accounting for like seasons or whatever.
Okay.
So if you want to leave a period where the field's empty before it plants
fallow
again,
period, right?
Yeah, you have to do that manually.
Okay.
For every single year.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I wish I could just copy and paste this yearly plan and then it'd be fine. But then, as I said to Rob, it's like, I was like, so it would be cool if it had the ability to like set the schedule and just copy and paste and then have that set up for every year here on. But then, what are you actually doing in the game?
Yeah, the game will just start to play itself.
Yeah.
And then presumably there will be an optimized plan. So if you wanted to, like by that point, you could just go on Wiki and go like, oh, I'll just copy this grid of events.
Yeah. So I was just like, I wanted to play a game like that, but not like that. And then I was thinking, like, what other games have I played that are like that? And then I was thinking about Minecraft with its like simple planting, and that's really in Minecraft. It's more a matter of like finding good ways to do things that don't require you to click every single tile. It's like in Minecraft, you want to have automatic harvesting where like water sweeps all the crops off into a trough and then it collects it all into a crate or whatever.
Well, are you like in a sim game?
Yeah, and then that really sucks for our SimCity shit.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I really want to play that, but it's still bad and they still haven't patched it.
Well, that's coming, isn't it?
Yeah, but that patch is not going to do enough.
No.
As the patch notes have been hanging around on that, the 2.0 patch, as they're calling it now.
2.0.
Yeah, I don't know what the fucking version number they're going to end up on. Because apparently someone
So
said...
by 27, it'll be good.
Yeah, exactly. Because someone said in a comment where it's like, this is the big 2.0 patch, what a disappointment or whatever. And then one of the Maxis guys came back and said, this isn't the big patch, this is a big patch. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're at version 2 already. So we really are going to see like version 5 or some shit. Maybe you should rethought your version numbers slightly.
I suppose, yeah,
Not that it's actually a version number or anything, it's just a stupid marketing device.
Well, yeah, version numbers are dumb in games anyway, isn't it? Because it's like when everything's always 1 point something, even if it's like, it's Black Ops 2 or something, and yet the version number is 1.1 point something.
But that's because that's an actual version number.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Yeah, they put those in, but it's like, it's always 1 point something. Always 1 point something.
Well,
it's like, why not have a version 2 of the software? Because it's the same game, and you're never going to have like, SimCity 5 is not going to be SimCity 4 with a version 2.
Well, because it depends what the actual numbers mean. Because it's like, if you go and look at Dwarf Fortress, he actually has his version number, like, plan laid out, and he specifically says what each individual part between the decimal points of the version number actually means. Whereas, like, if this number goes up to this, then it means I've advanced through this much of my plan or whatever.
But
cool.
That's... provided he can stick to the plan, which he can, which I don't think EA can. And to be honest,
but then that's why 1 is the thing, because it's like 1 means release.
Well, most patch development doesn't really follow that kind of routine. You patch what you can, get it out, that increments the number somehow.
Yeah.
It's like you don't...
Well, I'm sure it's, in most cases, probably those numbers do have some kind of meaning, but not... It just, to the new consumer, it's just that it goes up, which means it's better.
That's all you need to know.
I mean, generally, in terms of a history of like first-person shooters and stuff, like 1 is release, right?
Yeah.
And then if the next digit is like the serious point releases, like Counter-Strike 1.5, 1.6, etc., or Quake used to have point releases.
Halo 2.1.
Yeah, and then you've got the digits following that are like the patches.
Yeah.
Like the fixes. That used to be the pattern.
Apparently not in SimCity.
No, jumping straight to 2.0.
Well, they're not jumping straight to 2.0 either, because there's been 1 point stuff.
Well, maybe they just realised they're going to have a lot of fucking patches. They probably just realised there's going to be a lot of fucking patches.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't... They could have used smaller numbers and then not gone to 2 immediately.
Yeah.
Well, what version did they release at? They probably released it like a 1 point something or other.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 1. Because they haven't had any smaller numbers. It's just been 1 and then single decimals, like 0.2 and 0.5 and 0.8 that they're on now.
Well,
now
they can. You can technically in version number land go 110.
Yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't want to. That would probably confuse the shit out of people.
You do quite a lot.
Our software's on 114 at work.
Yeah, it's common. It's like an IP address.
Yeah, but that's not really 110 though.
I know.
That's 1.1 when you
read
had 1.09.
You don't read version numbers like a decimal.
Yeah. Unless you're Mr. Dwarf Fortress, Shadows of Marmok 2.
I don't know, he might.
I mean, you can. I mean, and it's probably preferable if you've planned it that way, but it's rarely going to work like that. Well, if you're having to... I don't want to call my software like version 2 unless it's a really major change to the architecture of how I've built it.
That's
like,
the whole... That's
so
why...
then you go up the what? Yeah, I know. I'm not agreeing with the SimCity plan. I think they should have gone to like 1.9 and then 1.10 and just keep going. But I don't think it's a problem in either way because version 2 is still... it doesn't matter.
It's still busted.
It's not like they're selling it as a new product, which was what you normally do when you go up a major version number.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be enough.
Damn that game.
Yeah, goddamn Cities.
So I wish I could play it.
Cities are just so tiny and all the stuff is busted.
Some of the stuff, at least some of them, my main problem with these patch notes is there's patch notes in there that I think might fix the bugs that I find annoying, but they're not specific enough to know whether they will. So I'll actually have to patch it, go and play, and then do an experiment and see whether it has fixed the thing that is bugged.
I mean, in SimCity 4, how old is that? 10 years.
Yeah.
They never fixed the stuff in that, did they?
There was a lot of mods.
Yeah.
Can you set up the what do you call it? Just leave a city with the tests you want to do just ready to go. Like, I know in this scenario, I'm going to lose my kids to the ether.
Well, I mean that scenario is not very hard to test because you can do it quite quickly from a blank city. Because it's just like put a school here, and then just run the thing. I can lay that out in 5 minutes. But it's well, I mean, it's generally a problem with SimCity anyway, is because there's a lot of stuff that seems sort of ethereal, it's actually still hard to tell whether they fixed anything. It's like, I can't really tell whether less tourists are here than there's meant to be, because there's no real way of telling. There's no numbers. Or if there is numbers, they're not specific enough either.
Is Swallow mode going to be back?
Cheetah. I don't know, actually. That's not in the patch notes.
I heard they turned that back on already.
They turned it back on the test server.
Right.
But I'm not sure whether they've done it in the main game. I haven't been back in there for long enough to find out whether they did.
Mm. Gradually getting to the point that they should have been they claimed to have been at the start.
Yeah. I'm really interested about whether any of what happened to all these global leaderboards and shit, because last I heard those weren't back on, and that was with the cheetah speed thing.
Leaderboards?
Yeah, the leaderboards for the international trade or whatever.
Weird.
And the global market where the price of goods is meant to fluctuate or whatever.
Huh.
It's not exactly Eve, though, is it?
No. But they can't even manage that.
Massive fail. So what are the other surrogate strategy games that you can play? Or strategy management?
Go back to Settlers.
Well, there was Minecraft, and then there was also this mod I was looking at for Minecraft that makes it insanely more realistic. And I was like, well, that always... But then again, because it's a mod, it's not finished. Yeah. And it just stops at a certain point in the progression. Where it's you can... It basically... It's kind of weird as a mod for Minecraft, where basically it pretty much removes your ability to mine. Because you actually have to progress up the tech tree, where you're like, I'm making a flint tool, and then I'm collecting some shitty ore by gold panning, basically, only for ores, and then you melt it down at a specific temperature in a fire, and then you get bellows and shit, and then you have to work it on a hammer and anvil to make a single tool.
It's just proper craft.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that's hardcore, but then that's pretty much where it just stops. It's like They haven't done... It gets to the point where you can actually make a pickaxe, and then it's just, that's the end of the mod.
And Minecraft continues.
Well, or doesn't. Or you can't do anything else from that point on. So it's that's the right sort of thing. And then I was thinking about Worm and stuff, and it's no, I'm not going to go back to that. That's the right kind of thing as well. It's complicated enough, but then in Worm it's a big load of grind.
Why don't you just play Eve?
Because that's not...
Farm for asteroids.
Yeah, but that's not... There's no game there. You fly to an asteroid, you turn on your mining lasers, and you wait half an hour.
Yeah.
What about Harvest Moon?
I thought about that. I went and got... I
have the Wii copy if you want to play so.
I think I actually tried playing the start of that Wii copy at some point. When you weren't there, when I was in your house.
Yeah, that happened.
But... Harvest Moon's not the right thing either, because that's the same problem as with Farming Simulator versus Sim Farm, is it's too personal. You're doing a single thing yourself, and it's the same problem Worm had.
You
want a bit more overarching control than just you yourself doing a thing.
You want to be head farmer who doesn't actually do any work, tells everyone what to do.
Or does some work. Has some amount of personal interaction. I don't know. There's no game that I can play that fulfills this urge.
Not with farming, perhaps. You just need to put it into some other context, perhaps.
Maybe.
Play Civ.
It's not right. Not the right kind of game.
Game Hospital.
That was another one that I did.
That's pretty close.
But I already played that quite recently.
Yeah.
Startup
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
All these games I've already played quite recently.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean playing Startopia?
Yeah, I played it on the stream.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right.
That's a great fucking game.
Yep. But you can't play it that often because there's only 10 missions and that's it. That's the whole game. So yeah, news.
News.
You can pre-order Starbound now.
Woo! Oh wow, that's finally fucking coming.
Well, basically they announced.
Do we have a date?
I think they announced the roadmap first. They were like, here's our nice fancy roadmap page where it shows it as like a map, literally, and then you click on the things and it tells you how much percentage through we're done on each of these individual parts and all this shit. And then they announced the pre-order, and it's like, oh, there's also a beta coming. But the beta and the pre-order both just say 2013. It's like,
Shit.
God fucking damn it.
They've really taken their time with this.
Yeah, seriously. And I also, like, the developer does live streams fairly often. Well, I guess there's been like 5 of them in the last 6 months, which I guess is fairly often for a developer showing his game in progress. But it's like, you see it, it's like, it looks like a game. Hurry up, release the damn thing.
There must be something, quite a lot of holes.
Yeah, there is quite a lot.
Getting the base. They had the base mechanics running like last year.
Yeah.
So it's must be all the stuff to make it so you get hooked.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
The wider world and the details. But they've clearly most of the work is done. Virtually all the work must be done on terrain stuff. Like the last video I saw, they were showing how like sand and stuff is going to cascade.
Oh, okay,
so like
cool.
It's going to have basically the same thing as Minecraft, only better. Where like most blocks are going to be fixed, but then certain types of blocks are going to be affected by gravity. Except in this case, when they fall, they actually like form into cones, so they fall and then spread out.
Cool.
Oh, neat.
Which actually looks pretty decent. Apart from at the moment, as he was showing in this video, still half the blocks get lost because it's not
there.
They haven't bug fixed it or whatever yet. But yeah, so they showed that was the last thing I saw. But then they're pretty much must be done with the terrain, and they're obviously done with most of the randomly generated like weapons and enemies and all that stuff. It's just the bits that link this whole up into one game.
Is it like the items that the player can have?
Yeah, they're all randomly generated.
I know, but because they could be an undefined number of those.
Well, I think that's the point, isn't it?
But they just keep going making them.
I guess like, if they get obsessed with making new parts over and over and over.
Yeah. And in fairness, that's kind of a worthwhile thing to keep doing if it's keep doing it. But some of that you can do after release naturally.
Well, yeah. But then the other trouble with seeing those live streams of playing the game is like, shouldn't you be working? That's the same problem that you always have with these early videos of games. It's like, why are you just fucking around playing your game? Hurry up and finish it so we can play your game.
But they have to play the game to know it's good.
Yeah, I know.
Playtesting is important, even if you're the developer of it.
It's just annoying. So 2013, still. Again.
So, Nintendo Direct. Should we talk Nintendo Direct and the stuff that came out of that?
I guess. Yeah, so that's an actual bit of news. Holy shit!
Yeah,
real news.
The serious news. I've been saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, more Ninty games for 3DS, getting some much needed content. So what have we? Okay, let's talk about the content first before I have my mini rant. So we've got the new Zelda game, I suppose, is the biggest.
That's the big news.
And they're going to sort of like, is it literal? It's a literal sequel to A Link to the Past.
I don't know if it's a sequel.
I don't know
it's
if
the
they
same
really
world.
said that. Yeah.
They said it was the same world, and it's
whatever
kind of
that
the same
means.
look.
What was the world even of A Link to the
It
Past?
was Hyrule, wasn't it?
Yeah, but fucking all the Zelda games are called Hyrule.
I know. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a good one, a very good one.
Yeah.
What was the actual like? It was just a generic.
Was it the one with the fish?
A princess and a castle. No, that's
Oracle of Seasons.
No, that's fucking. I keep wanting to call it Wind Waker, but it's something Waker, isn't it?
Oh, is this a mobile one?
Because it's the windfish, isn't it? Is the fucking thing that you wake up?
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, that's Link's Awakening.
Oh yeah, that's of
yeah,
course.
Yeah. That's the Game Boy one that was kind of based on.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
good one.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess like
that wasn't in Hyrule though. That was on an island.
Yeah, that was in a dream.
Yeah,
because that was the whole point of the thing.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure about. So yeah, look, it's like those, and they seem to be doing some amount of like 3D elements to, I guess, with height and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's not just totally 2D.
Yeah, well, that seems their main thing for
3DS,
puzzles and stuff. Yeah, 3DS.
So they're going to add that stuff. I'm not sure I get the paper mechanic that they showed.
Right.
How you can sort of, like...
What don't you get about
Well, it's not that I don't understand how it works. I don't understand how it thematically works.
Well, it's
It's
Zelda.
like-
It's like whatever.
I know, but it's the shittest thing they've come up with yet, I think. Like, an ocarina, fine. Like, then it causes stuff to do. The ridiculous time stuff of Majora's Mask,
What-
also fine.
What about like Minish Cap, where you get really tiny because you're wearing a stupid hat that's also a bird?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm more okay with that. But turning into a crayon drawing and being able to move in walls.
Some magical
Just some-
device.
Yeah, I know, but it's the crayon bit. I don't know. I don't like it. It'll
guess
work
you-
fine from a gameplay point of view. I have no problem
There'll
with that.
be some
but-
explanation for it, won't there? Obviously.
Yeah, I know. It just
Like he looks like the crayon drawing from like the start of Wind Waker, the kind of scrolls.
yeah, a
and
little
stuff.
bit. Yeah.
So maybe that's deliberate. Maybe it's some kind of lore kind of thing.
Mm.
You know, some kind of Bayeux tapestry type deal.
You turned into a cave painting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't think that bit looked.
It didn't look good. It was not
Even the way the
finished.
camera handled it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that bit, it looked a bit rough, but the whole thing looked a little bit rough because it looked quite early.
I don't know. I thought it was all pretty good apart from that.
But you know Nintendo are going to polish the crap
Oh,
out of
yeah.
that. I mean, just
God knows when it's coming out. You know, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's the end of this year, isn't it?
Is it?
That's what they said.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's quite soon.
It skates on.
Mm.
So what else did they announce?
New Mario and Luigi game.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
looks like another one of those games, so that's probably fine.
That's probably
Cool.
right. Yeah, those are always okay.
Yeah, that'll be good. It's kind of like Paper Mario-ish,
Yeah,
but on mobile.
but different.
Yeah, and different. Yeah.
What else happened 3DS land? You're going to have to remind me here.
I can't remember anything else apart from those two.
Well,
the only ones that I cared about.
it must be the key ones then.
Oh, of course, Yoshi Island. New Yoshi's Island
Oh,
game.
Oh, yeah.
That looked identical, kinda. Like slightly more pastel-y, I suppose, like smoother than the the classic SNES.
Well, was it more like the N64 one?
Sort of. It's halfway. So it's not quite like the collage look of the N64 one. It's more the crayon style, but the crayons are a bit softer than the visually it's kind of harsh, isn't it, in a way on SNES, like solid black
Yeah,
stuff.
black
like that.
outlines.
Yeah, I suppose they can do that now. They can be softer and be a bit
I don't feel
more
I want
actually crayon-like. Yeah,
I didn't
no,
actually like how the N64 one looked.
but that wasn't crayon.
No, but it looked bad. Don't need to go anywhere towards that.
But all right, here's where I'm going with this. Oh, and Pikmin 3 got a
Release date. Woo!
in August. That goddamn time, the Wii U needs some software.
It's too late for the Wii U. Wii U is doomed.
Wii U is doomed. Sorry, Ninty. And this leads me to my biggest problem with Ninty for the last couple of generations. Where is the innovation fucking gone? Like,
In the software or
in the software, like Wii games, initial Wii games aside, because holy crap, that was temporarily game changing. Temporarily. Like, where's the new ideas coming out of Ninty now? Like, I think the best time, the last good time we had for new ideas coming out of Ninty, in terms of like gameplay mechanics that are going to stay around, was GameCube, because obviously that invented Pikmin. Luigi's Mansion proved itself, and 3DS version of Luigi's Mansion is doing pretty well for itself. And we're kind of Metroid Prime, admittedly not Nintendo in-house. They kind of work with Retro to make that work. Where's this vision gone? I want them to make. I don't want to keep playing the same game over and over again. I am now tired of this.
Yeah.
I know they will be good, and on some level, I know I will enjoy them. But I no longer really want to do that. It's almost like Assassin's Creed and Black Ops fatigue, but over a much, much longer period of my life.
Mm.
To the point where I am running out of my ability to care.
Did you ever play most of these games? I don't think you're the person who should have this fatigue. Did you really play Mario 64 and Galaxy?
Yes.
Not that much.
I didn't play Galaxy to completion, but I played a reasonable chunk of it. I played Sunshine to completion. I played haven't played Galaxy
And
2.
it's like you only played one Zelda game, really.
I've played Ocarina,
Somewhat.
most of it. I've played some of, the start of Wind Waker, which pissed me off enough that I didn't want to borrow. Twilight Princess I played through.
Yeah. So you should be the one having the fatigue.
No, but I look at all these things and they're the same. Every Mario Kart. All right, I've played pretty much every Mario Kart, with the exception of 7. Yeah, and it's like that.
But that's Mario Kart. That's different. That's like the sports games. Of course, it's going to be the same. It's what it's based on.
I guess, but the 3D iterations are always too similar for my tastes, with the exception of Double Dash, which kind of stands out in its own weird way.
Yeah.
Double Dash was quite cool. Quite like that one. It was quite different.
It divided,
Feeling.
and I wasn't sure about it at the time. But looking back, it's probably one of my favourite ones. That and the Wii one. Yeah, that's a lie. The Wii one was it was probably the most derivative of the lot. But it executed it quite nicely. Or it did. No, okay. This is where the Wii ones did. It did online multiplayer well.
And the motion controls didn't suck. Yeah. So, yeah. But even so, it's still, at its core, I'm playing the same game that I've always played. And Mario Party, that was it. Another announcement. That's another bad example of...
But that's a game that shouldn't be on the 3DS as well.
Well, that's true. Unless it has... I guess you could maybe excuse it on the 3DS if it has full download play. Because then that would be fair enough.
Maybe, but then it still requires multiple DSs, and it's not so much of a party environment as having a fucking television with a Wii.
Yeah, if you're assuming that a bunch of your friends have 3DSs, then that's, I don't know. Yeah. Play it in a room.
I don't know. I want to see Ninty innovate some more.
Yeah.
Maybe,
we all do.
And I'm a little bit worried about Wii U in the sense that they came out with this thing, and it's like, this is going to change how we make some games, and they obviously run out of ideas themselves on how to make games for that fucking thing.
Or they're just saving more for E3.
Maybe.
The big Zelda, what they've said about the big Zelda coming, it was interesting, which was just like, let's challenge all the conventions of Zelda.
Yeah, for the love of God, let's hope so.
Yeah.
They need it.
Yeah. But, I mean, they did say that, so at least that is something. But yeah, obviously...
Whatever they think the conventions of Zelda are,
they listed some out, though, of things they weren't going to do.
Ruby's agree. Now they're purple. We've flipped it. Now the purple ones are cheap and the green ones are expensive.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that will be colourblind mechanics.
We've made them triangles instead of whatever that shape is. So they know what shape you call that, the ruby shape.
Long and diamondish.
Yeah, exactly.
Gem-like.
They're not called rubies, they're called prubies. We added a P.
Poopies. Anyway, yeah. Desperate for some Nintendo innovation.
At the same time, a couple of good games come out from Nintendo, possibly, that Zach's going to have a chance to talk about. Maybe not this week, depending on how you've played about 5 minutes of Luigi's Mansion 2, right?
Yep.
What's your verdict so far? Amazing, nice-looking lens flare on that.
That's your verdict.
I know, I think it looks...
But then again, it's not like you could see it that easily, I guess. Whereas when I was playing, because I'm the one looking at the 3D, I suppose.
I'm glad of all the ranting I just did, I'm glad that is one that they actually decided to go back to after all. It's
not like they've milled that franchise.
No, exactly. Yeah, that one is still good in terms of the...
I'm surprised they even put a 2 on the end.
Exactly.
How many people playing it now are going to have played... Well, we have, but I don't know.
Its udder is still full.
Well, it's weird that, like... It's weird that it does technically even have a subtitle, except it doesn't show the subtitle on the fucking main screen of the DS. It just says Luigi's Mansion 2. Rather than Luigi's Mansion 2...
Electric Blue.
I can't remember what it is. Dark Moon or some shit.
All right.
Oh, yeah, it is that, isn't it? Yeah.
Dark Moon, that sounds like something else.
It's got some Dark Dawn.
Dark Moon.
Dark Moon and Dark Dawn. But obviously, the Golden Sun and Luigi's Mansion 2 universes are going to come together.
Star Wars Episode 17, Yoda Origins.
I think they're going to get to that before 17.
Yeah. God. How can they make a Yoda film? That's a bad idea.
Yeah,
Wait,
'cause
there's a lot of time that you can fit that film in
No.
because he's hell old.
900
years to choose from.
But isn't that part of his character? This sort of like
Mystery.
yeah.
Yeah. They should do a Lando film. That'd be better. Who would actually work as a prequel? Yeah, because he's kind of swashbuckling cool.
I don't think he's ever done anything that cool. I think he's all talk.
Could they do a film about how
I don't know,
Han Solo and Chewie get together?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, that could
I
work.
guess.
Yeah. The Adventures of
Good
Han
one.
and Chewie Yeah, various ones they could do rather than doing the Yoda one. Because
The Rise of the Hutts.
No.
Yeah.
It'd just be an entire flabby mess of a film.
Yoda's already ruined enough in the prequels. You don't need to ruin him more by doing. I don't know.
And his Vodafone sell out.
Yep. Terrible.
What other characters could you make? Crazy ass spin-offs that could potentially work.
The Adventures of Boba Fett.
No.
They already tried that several times, but just not in films.
Yeah, Boba Fett doesn't really talk, which is the cool thing about him.
And then when he does talk, he's a fucking Australian.
He's New Zealandish, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's Django.
Yeah, but he's his son.
Yeah,
Actually,
true.
he's a clone, so
Yeah,
he's
he
still
is the
exactly
same.
the same.
True.
Could they
Yeah.
do something like how they did with those animated Clone Wars things? Well, I suppose that is the Clone
Yeah,
Wars.
exactly.
Yeah. But those Samurai Jack.
It's like there's no
animations
other
were awesome.
there's no other characters in the original trilogy because by that point the Empire is all homogenized, boring people.
Yeah.
And the rebels are just homogenized, boring people. I guess they're pretty much the same. Where's all the aliens? But then
Yeah, you could do you could have a film for every bounty hunter on the bridge,
yeah.
Bosk and IG-88. That'd be an awesome film.
Yeah.
You'd just be him murderizing everybody and just being a robot.
the K-47 film,
Yeah,
basically.
that would be cool.
There would be a comedy spin-off with C-3PO and R2.
Oh.
No, they can't do anything with droids because that just leads down the path to the terrible expanded universe thing where there's actually one droid that's force sensitive.
Would they do a cheesy
Oh no!
would they do a cheesy Rocky-esque kind of underdog film about pod racing?
But that was episode 1.
I know, but just make just
That's
make
what happened.
but just make an even bigger one.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could do loads of stuff and stuff, but they seem to have this concept of doing individual character films, kind of because it is literally the modern superhero movie mold, right? That they're doing. They're trying to do the equivalent of Wolverine Origins or whatever, aren't they? Which wasn't very good.
Could it be the story of how Qui-Gon got his hair?
Fucking Qui-Gon.
Yeah, we'll go back hella obviously.
Yeah.
Or why Darth Maul's face is all red?
But that's his species. It's not a...
Oh, it's a species? Oh, I didn't realise it was a
Apparently.
species thing. Or it's just
Really?
face paint.
That's why here.
Right, okay.
As far as I remember.
He could have just been human with some sort of weird
Yeah,
thing
it could have
attached to
been.
his head. Yeah.
He's just likes extreme skin modding.
Clearly.
Hardcore.
What the hell were we talking about a minute ago?
News!
Oh,
Da-da-da-da.
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, that's right. This is a totally logical progression of this conversation. So yeah, I played 5 minutes of Luigi's Mansion just now because my DS turned up this morning. in the face.
Games! It's my section.
Yep.
change.
It's your section change.
What chipping?
So let's talk about the actual,
Let's
the
talk about the
DS in
hardware.
general before.
Okay.
or even more so than that, packaging.
Oh, really?
Or is it Apple style, super experienced designed?
Well, the weird thing, the first thing that threw me off is because I went on Amazon to order this thing, and here's a picture of the box or whatever, which is where you can clearly see the convenient sign that says does not include AC adapter, but conveniently, so you know not to buy one of them. But then, it's when it turned up in the post, it's actually a really fucking tiny box. And I expected it to be a lot bigger, but then, of course, there's nothing in there apart from the fucking DS.
Yeah.
Because there's no AC cable, obviously. There's no extra software, because even the game is pre-installed on the SD card.
Which is, it comes in
the thing. So it's just literally the box is almost the same size as the thing.
Weird.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah. But that was really weird, because it's like the Amazon picture of it on the page. There's no sense of scale. So I was like, oh, that looks like this. It's quite a big-ass box. Because it has this nice graphics on it of Fire Emblem shit, I guess. But then it wasn't. It was tiny. Doesn't even come with a wrist strap.
What? That's no good.
I know.
Really? That's important?
Doesn't even come with a spare
I'm joking.
stylus.
That's not important.
Actually, that's
That's marginally more important.
yeah.
I guess I've still got spare styluses from my old DS I could use.
But do they fit in the slot?
No. The 3DS stylus is actually big now. It's a tiny, minuscule stick.
Yeah. Oh, it's long again, is it?
Goes all the way across the bottom of the thing. So yeah,
Or is it a bit more like the DS Lights one? Because that was a bit longer.
yeah. But it goes sideways in. So it's even
really
longer.
long. Oh, cool.
It's not like pencil length. It's like half a pencil,
But even so.
I guess. Yeah, it's pretty long and slightly chunkier.
And you've got the XL, which I noticed
Yeah.
is
The screen's are 90% bigger.
Yeah.
It says on the box.
Same resolution, of course.
Yeah. It's a slightly more plasticky build than the originally sized one.
I don't know. Maybe.
That's going to be some of the lowest pixel density available on a consumer electronics.
Probably, yeah. It is 3D.
Yeah. So it's
That's right.
twice as much.
And from my experiences with the old 3DS, it's not bad quality 3D. It works pretty well.
Seems to.
Well, apart from when the game... it still has a problem. I don't know if the XL makes it nicer in this regard, but when you move the DS, you still end up with that
Well, yeah, of course.
eye fuckery
You
problem.
have to keep your head in a very specific position to retain the 3D.
But yeah, I wonder if the sweet spot is slightly bigger because of the screen.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Maybe. And then the other thing that I found really weird is, like, obviously, the first thing you do when you get it is you charge it. So it's like I plugged it in and I was reading the manual. It's like, it takes 3.5 hours to charge fully, and its battery life is 3.5 hours. And I was wait, hang on. So it's decharging at the same rate it's charging? That's pretty ridiculous.
I missed that detail.
That's terrible battery life, isn't it?
Well, that's when the 3D's on. You can turn it off to, like, double it, of course.
Why does that double the...
Because it halves the processing power needed to run it.
Do you
It goes when you flip the switch off the bottom. There's like a brief
2D
flick.
mode, basically.
There's like a flicker on the screen, so it knows when you're swapping between fully 2D to having some amount. Of
It doesn't
3D.
just make it flat. It's actually a different mode.
Right.
Yeah, and like some game. Well, there's one game I know of that's taken advantage of that knowledge, which is the Dead or Alive port. Which when you're playing in 2D mode, the frame rate is actually faster.
Yeah, that's cool. But presumably that won't take less battery though, because you use
presumably they're utilising the spare processing power that leaves.
But yeah, that's quite a fucking long battery charge.
Yeah.
It literally pretty much only just charging before I had to leave and come here.
So it didn't come charged like a lot of products do now.
No, or not fully charged. Maybe it had some charge in it. But they say in like the quick start guide or whatever, charge it first.
Fair enough.
Which is probably a good idea for most things.
Well, my iPad came fully charged.
Wow. Apple's spending all that money on electricity.
Yeah.
Nintendo's cheap. Can't spend all these pennies on putting electricity in this thing.
I must print money.
Also, something else about the hardware, I guess, is that you can take the battery out. It's like consumers are allowed to get to the battery of the 3DS.
Cool.
So you can potentially replace it if it becomes shitty.
That's good.
By buying a new one from Nintendo.
So yeah,
it's about as good as it gets.
It's better than the bloody PS3 controllers. You have to throw away the whole fucking controller.
Yeah.
There's probably like home mod kits or something. Like you could probably buy them from slightly dubious sources.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's always true of these things. But I mean,
so anyway, got that this morning, charged up, and then when we came here, I played like 5 minutes of Luigi's Mansion, and it seems okay so far.
It seems okay so far.
It seems to have music that's going to get stuck in your head forever, just like the original, because it's the same fucking song.
Oh yeah,
and Luigi fucking whistles it as well.
Yeah, which is always awesome.
I
hope when he gets when you go in the dark. That used to be my favourite thing about the original, was when you're in the dark areas.
Well, when your health's low.
Oh, yeah, and he's singing the scared versions of the song because he goes all squeaky and wrong.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
So yeah, I'm going to play that, I suppose. Fire Emblem as well is pre-installed on this fancy Fire Emblem looking DS.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I like the blue colour.
Well, yeah, it was like, thank God it's not some retirement colour with Fire Emblem. It's just black and blue. Can't go wrong.
Good combo.
Cool. So what else have you been playing?
I've been
before
playing,
today. That isn't farming related.
Well, I didn't really play much of that. That was the trouble.
Yeah.
I wished I could. I played quite a bit of Guild Wars, but that's maybe just grinding for daily and monthly achievements and running through the Super Adventure box a few more times to be able to afford the special like weapon skin where you get a fancy like holographic sword, basically.
Hollow sword. Also.
So yeah, saved up enough to get that. Not really much going on there. They are actually doing... Apparently the Superbox isn't going to be the April update. There's going to be two, because there's going to be an actual update at the end of April, which is going to be the next part of the actual thing they were doing before that, the raising with the refugees or whatever.
The Dredge and Flame Legions.
Yeah. So that's going to come on the 30th, which looks like it might actually be the end of that. It's going to be like those two characters that you do missions for are going to come together and do a thing, I guess. That was very specific.
Right. Come together and do a thing.
And then the other thing I played mainly was quite a bit of Kerbal Space Program.
Hooray!
Because it hasn't actually...
I really need to buy that.
Well, I guess it has updated.
But it's always slightly more expensive than it needs to be. Like, how much? It's more than 15 quid.
Yeah.
It's like 18 quid or something. It's like, goddamn.
Wait for a Steam sale.
Yeah.
Although, I guess it won't go down in price until it actually comes out, which will be never, basically.
Damn it. Anyway, carry on.
So, yeah, there was... I guess it was quite a long time ago now, like way before the last 2 weeks, but there was the patch that added proper wheels and stuff. I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really played with it, but then this last couple of weeks I was when I went back to it. I started doing fancy shit really badly in my case. Because I was trying to make my moon base, because as I discovered when you have the wheels, because it's much more easy to maneuver the parts, my plan of using the wheels to line up the docking ports and then raising them on legs and connecting them together, that actually works.
It works now. Hooray.
It probably would have worked in the old version, I just didn't get it to go.
Right.
But now it does work, and it works pretty well. So I was like, okay, now I can build this moon base. So I spent quite a long time trying to work out decent ways to get shit to the moon well, because I'm still not very good at designing the rockets like efficiently or like well balanced or like positioning the RCS thrusters so that it's not completely fucked and wobbly all over the place. So I eventually came up with quite a nice design. Because I had designed one where it was like the space shuttle, where the payload is attached to the side, and then counterbalanced it by just putting a big lump on the other side.
Okay.
Because you can't really control the thruster accurately to counter the weight. But then I just said fuck that and designed a much more simple ship where basically you have the top, it comes down in like a pyramid, except it's like hollow, so the engines go around the middle, and then the payload just attaches in the middle and hangs in the center of like the main engines, and that makes it quite stable. And it also makes it easy to get the payload out when you actually reach the point where you have to detach it. So I was using that to go to the moon and dropping off the various bits of the moon base. Although I did have some problems making landings, because you have to design Well, I got a mod that fixed this problem, but you have to basically design the payload. The way I was doing it, you go to the spaceplane hangar, design the payload there, because that lets you do horizontal orientation and like wing symmetry, so only symmetry on the opposite sides of the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Design it there, but then you basically just have to remember that and rebuild it on, like, attached to the actual place.
Right.
Because you can't really do it any other way. But I did get a mod that sort of fixes that, where you can store collections of parts as one thing and then just drag it on.
Right.
So you can actually design it the space hangar, save that whole thing
as a part,
and just attach it in one go. So that solved half the problem. But my problem is, like, I just couldn't, because these payloads are weird shapes, because it's like bits of the base, so they're not entirely symmetrical, or, well, the main problem is they're just long and thin, so you've got rockets at either end, and that just makes it hella wobbly, and if you haven't got the RCS in the right place, it's really difficult to control, and you could easily flip it over, and, like, because of the way the mass is distributed, because it's long and thin, it rotates on its axis a lot easier than it does rotate sideways. Mm-hmm. It just makes it really difficult to control. So I had several ridiculous crashes where I was like, I'm going to make it, whoop! Just blew everything up.
Right, trying to land.
Yeah, trying to land on the moon, which is like almost the easiest place you can land, apart from the smaller moon that has less gravity, but it's further away. So yeah, I fucked around with that for ages. And then there was the trouble of, like, I had to start getting better at aiming my landings, because it's always, you need to put them quite close together from orbit to a specific place on the planet's surface, which isn't the easiest thing. I'm starting to think I might need to play with my joystick just so I can get precision rather
Slight
than
angles.
tapping keys and
Yeah.
Can you use would the controller help?
maybe. I don't know, possibly. But yeah, so I eventually got all the bits on the moon, and I designed it so that, well, I was trying to be fancy and make it so that it was more legit by making it so that, like, the bit with the solar panels was going to power the whole base. So the other bits of the bases didn't actually have power, but you need power to use the wheels. So in the end, what I actually had was I gypped it for the central bit of the base, which was just basically a pole. Didn't have any special parts. That just had its own power supply. Then I attached the solar panel wing on it. That obviously powered itself. But then for the habitation module, I was like, well, I'm also going to make the habitation module my rover dock.
Yeah.
Where it has like a special attachment point nearer the ground where a little rover can park and dock onto it and get its batteries recharged so it can drive off or whatever. So I dropped in the rover and dropped in the hab thing, and then I was like, okay, drop in some Kerbals, fly the Kerbal dude on his jetpack, obviously, over to the rover, get in, drive to the habitation module. But then I discovered that I'd really not quite thought it through, because I designed this rover, which was basically just a cockpit with wheels on it.
Yeah.
But the trouble is that the cockpits have their own gyroscopic stabilization.
Oh, okay.
And it works fine on the planet, but when you get to the moon where the gravity is lower, the whole thing just flips over.
Oh,
Because the
no.
gravity is so low that the cockpit stabilization just causes the whole thing to rotate instead of actually driving the wheels forward. I was like, oh, maybe you need to refit this design. So I just made it like
rover.
a super long rover. So then I had to fly a whole other rover up there again, do a whole other landing. And then eventually did that, and then attached it to the hab module, and then had to drive like 12 kilometers. And of course, driving on the moon is like really quite difficult and dangerous because the gravity's so low, you don't get nearly as much traction, so you don't accelerate or decelerate very fast. And if you start going downhill and you pick up speed, then you can't stop very quickly. And if you hit a dent, you just blow up. So yeah, eventually I managed to get it all together, and then joined it all up, and I was like, moon base done.
Moon base done.
And then a random bit of wreckage in the distance exploded. Which was quite funny, actually, because I was switching vehicles to jump into the rover, and I just suddenly hear an explosion. And I'm like, fuck was that? Something exploded and killed me or something. But then, so I looked around and saw, like, stuff flying into the air, and it was obviously just a physics glitch, because then when you zoom out to the map and look at this wreckage, it was just a bit of leftover lander that I'd left behind that had detached off of the bit I was dropping or whatever, but it was now flying away from the moon at like 1,000 meters or 2,000 meters a second into a solar orbit because it was going so fucking fast. I was like, well, that wreckage is never coming back, apparently. It's going a long way.
One day it'll come back and hit you. You'll be flying, trying to get
Well, I'm more worried about, like, if I go and look at my moon base, and, like, if I actually load it, maybe one day the moon base will just randomly explode because of physics glitches.
Yeah. That would not be good. Yeah.
So yeah, that was Kerbal.
Okay.
That took a fucking long time. Then I started thinking about building a moon orbit refueling station. Because I already have my station in orbit of the planet that has fuel, so I can theoretically get fuel there. But then I figured it would probably be better to have one at the moon, because then you're already getting the gravity assist of the moon orbit. So if you fly to the moon, use more fuel, but then resupply at the moon, then you get better. You start with more fuel if you want to go to the outer planets or whatever. So I started trying to build that, but then I fucked up my design and didn't have enough stabilization on the fuel tanks, and I was trying to link them to the main body of it or whatever, because I didn't just fly it all up in one thing, which would have been much quicker and easier, but I have to do things ridiculously complicated ways because they're cooler.
Obviously. Bring it up in parts and attach them together. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Try and do docking and shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah,
Kerbal Power.
plenty of it.
Sounds good.
Maybe I'll play some more. I don't know.
Sounds like a whole week.
Yep, it was pretty much. It was another weird week where I didn't seem to play anything, but then I did. But only those two things. Just like quite a lot of them. Oh, and I played some Team Fortress, I guess. Me and Rob did.
Yeah.
I did.
But there's not anything to say about that.
No.
It's
Still
D2.
Team Fortress.
Yeah.
I saw there was a leak of the new the new action figures for Heavy and Soldier are coming, and Heavy look pretty cool, obviously. So that'll come out in Forbidden Planet this summer. I might have to get one because you can get them in the Forbidden Planet in Cambridge. The demo and Pyro, they're like 20 quid or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's not that expensive.
Yeah, they're action figures rather than the ridiculous things.
Than the nice figures. Okay.
Yeah, and they're pretty nice, so I might have to get a Pyro. But I want an engineer, obviously, to put on my desk.
Yeah.
But it might be all right to have a Heavy with a little speech bubble saying, "Engineers, credit the team." Anyway.
And a sandwich.
And a sandwich. I'm not sure if it came with a sandwich. I think it comes with a Ushanka as well.
Just make your own sandwich.
Yeah.
A really huge sandwich.
Giant sandwich. Yeah, the olive on the cocktail stick. I've never seen a sandwich with a little olive on a cocktail stick stuck to it for no reason.
No, never been served one like that.
No. So, yes, Rob, what have you been playing, man?
I finished Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Uh-huh.
Time for a revelation.
Is it revelatorily shit?
Yeah, the ending is... the story doesn't pick up.
There's not actually
at
a
any point.
revelation.
No, well, it sort of is, because I got... Well, not really. Not really. The game, it's a non-entry, basically. You as I said before, like... Alright, I'm calling it. Spoiler alert to the end of Assassin's Creed Revelations, although there really isn't much to this. It's like, this is where they revealed that there's been an apocalypse before.
Yeah.
Like, kind of thing, and that's why these weird beings aren't about anymore, and a certain number of your kind survived, not many,
right,
or whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's pretty much the majority of the revelations, I suppose.
Is it like the biblical flood type deal, or something that caused the apocalypse before?
More meteor sort of thing. And then, but basically, you discover inside Altair's library, at the end of getting all the Masyaf keys, you discover another Apple of Eden, which is the one Altair had, which isn't the one that you've been using as Ezio. It's a different one.
Right.
So Ezio leaves it there, thinking this is going to do more harm than good. So just sort of leaves it there.
What? Leaving it there or taking it? It's like in either case.
He leaves it in the library, and then,
right.
But then.
Just leave it there for some random person to find.
But then he talks to Desmond,
right.
And has a sort of like monologue of what he's learned over his life and stuff like that. Yeah, Ezio talks. He goes, "I don't know what the fuck you are or whatever it is, but I'm going to talk to you because I know you're listening." Kind of thing, which pretty much tells you nothing. And it's a bit of a shame because it's like this is supposed to be the conclusion of Ezio's story. And it's like nothing really happens.
God damn, poor old Ezio. He deserved better.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. And then Desmond basically wakes up and goes, "I know what we need to do," which presumably means they're going to go find that apple
because it's still going to be there.
Because it's still going to be there.
Oh, God. Well, how do you like them apples? I don't know.
Yeah, so totally pointless. Although I did, in that strange way that this one has grabbed me in a different way to the others, I did go and go back to the world and start just fucking around for a while.
I thought you said you didn't like that world as much as the other
This
world.
is stupid. I don't understand. I don't. But I ended up collecting all 100 of the fucking data artifacts.
Right.
Like the feather equivalent. I went and did all of that.
How do you manage to find them all?
Well, actually convenient. Well, because there was a map I think you could buy in the
maps.
previous ones.
Yeah.
And
you could buy treasure maps for the treasure chest, but it didn't tell you where the feathers were.
Yeah, I think you could. Well, this one had a slightly more interesting way of dealing with it because you bought the maps. You could buy the maps for the data fragments, I think. Oh no, you didn't. You never bought those. But the more I got to 50 of those things, and then the map started revealing them.
Wow, okay.
Like just itself, I was like, hang on, where were all these turned up from? And the more of those I then got, I then revealed other ones. Which meant that I couldn't go in like a nice systematic route through the thing because it's like I got a certain number of them, and then a load more popped up, and it's like, oh balls. But I weirdly found that kind of okay.
That's better than having to, I don't know, not being able to find one.
Yeah.
Look it up on. My favourite was always the Riddler clues in Batman. How when you start getting towards the end of it, he starts getting really annoyed and starts accusing you of looking stuff up on the internet and stuff. It's quite
pretty cool.
Quite meta and funny.
Yeah.
But then there were way too many of them in Arkham City.
Yeah.
The Riddler shit.
Oh, I still haven't played that. That's to do.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I
still prefer Asylum, but City was pretty good.
I suppose that is news as well. There's not one but two more Batman games
Yeah.
coming.
What's going on with
There's another one, Arkham Origins, I think.
Right, yeah.
But there's another one I'd like called, I forget what its subtitle is, like Black Gate or something.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Which
the
is-
prison,
which-
isn't it, Blackgate?
Which is like a Metroidvania style 2D game made by the remnants of Retro Studios.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I forget what they're called, like Archer or something like that.
Okay. Well, they know their Metroid.
Yeah. So
Vania,
and it's going to be that one's going to be for portable machines, so the 3DS and Vita.
Okay. Sounds all right.
That one is almost more interesting.
Yeah.
Potentially,
well, who knows?
because they Retro with their Metroid heritage probably know how to make a game like this.
Yeah, potentially.
Or as I say, some. of the
Although
members of
Rocksteady
Retro
did a
were-
pretty good job of making a Metroidy game.
Yeah,
A couple of
exactly.
those. So I'm sure it's both all good.
So it's alright, but there's weren't Rocksteady going to be making like a Silver Age Batman? Or,
Yeah, I thought that was the deal.
Yeah. What happened to that?
Maybe that is the Origins thing. I haven't seen
Maybe.
it. I don't know.
Don't know.
I guess that makes sense. It's in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, yeah. Revelations. I'm now done with that.
Cool.
Not going back to it.
Good.
I still stand by my last comments of
Don't bother playing it.
as much as I sort of got into this one, and I still don't understand why, and I still think you're better off not playing it.
Fair dues.
So, yeah, out of my yay or nay scale, this is a nay.
2 points there.
Yeah. That's how I'm going to do reviews, like, from now on. Like, thumbs up, thumbs down, or perhaps middling, perhaps.
I think you've already failed this plan.
Yeah.
3
Oh,
point
no,
scale.
but, you get some that, the middling, I think, is where it's like, it may appeal to some people, I guess.
Speaking of things that shouldn't have middles,
You got to put the thing in the hole.
speaking of, this is completely off topic and going into a non-gaming again,
Alright.
but I got a new duvet for my bed.
I like this already.
And you know how they have that stupid duvet-specific scale, the TOG scale,
Yeah, the
that
TOG
tells you
scale.
how warm they are.
Yeah.
Why the fuck does that scale have halves? And what is the top of that scale? Because the one I have is 4.5, and then on the back it says you can get this one, which is 4.5, or you can get a medium one, which is 9, or you get the winter one, which is 13.5, and it's like,
Yeah.
so why the fuck are there halves? And what's the top of that scale?
I don't think there is a top.
No.
It's a sliding scale, isn't it?
Is it logarithmic or what?
I think it's a real scale of like heat
Well,
retention or
probably,
something.
but I mean,
Yeah.
like,
I don't know why there are halves. You'd think you could just double every value and you wouldn't have to bother having halves.
like considering it
But, I mean-
already goes up to over 13, I
Yeah.
think you need 4.5.
Could you use TOGs to describe the ability to retain heat of a thermos then, or something like that?
I think it is something to do with density of fibres or something.
I think it's to do with trapping warm air.
Oh, yeah, trapping
So
air
it's
or something.
probably more to do.
Yeah.
Probably it's not vacuums.
But that doesn't cause you a problem, the fact there's halves.
No,
does it?
I'm not saying it causes a problem. I just think it's dumb.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
suppose-
A lot of scales are dumb.
But it's the fact that it just appears on this consumer item with no explanation is one of those classic, like,
Yeah. Well, no, it's a linear scale. There's nothing. There's
it's a linear scale, but it doesn't tell you anything about it. Like,
No.
there's no.
This one is going to be warmer. Isn't that
Yeah,
what you need to know?
It's just like thin, medium, thick.
Yeah, but you could get.
You could get a thin one that was effectively thick because it was better heat.
Yeah,
better
exactly.
material, yeah.
But I mean, come on.
So that gives you a nice way of.
I mean,
measuring it.
generally, it's thickness and weight, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you had something polyester one, probably or whatever, if you had fancy like duck down or whatever the shit it is, maybe it would have higher density. Or there's other artificial ones which are even better, but are even more expensive.
I know, but generally,
Yeah,
that's what you're getting.
It levels you out a bit, doesn't it? Having the number, it's quite handy. And they do those ones where you've got like both in one.
Yeah.
They're kind of cool.
I suppose it's for the fussy types, who like have, this is my number. I need to get as close to this number as I
Yeah,
can.
but I very much doubt they make like any more specific. There's probably just most of them are going to be about 4 or 4.5 or 5.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I suppose you could go,
Yeah, there's probably not one different duvet for every half gradation on that scale.
I would doubt a single brand does that, but you might be able to go, like, find a brand that is like to your tastes.
Potentially.
Well, I think if anyone's going to do like the weird, it's like 6 or something, that's actually going to be a specific brand. There's probably only going to be one brand that does the whole range, just so they can be the ones who do the weird numbers. I don't think major brands, because this was like Marks and Spencer or whatever, they're just going to have 3, like thin, medium, and thick.
Well, exactly. Yeah, they will, but other brands, because Marks and Spencer. Oh no, well, Marks and Spencer only stock Marks and Spencer, don't they?
Yeah.
But places like John Lewis or Tesco's.
Like John Lewis, I was bewildered by the array of fillings you can get for your both pillows and duvets. It's like insane the amount of different options there were.
I'd rather almost not know what's in there. Is it comfortable? Yes.
This is
thumbs up.
This is geese from like Norway, and this is ducks mixed with geese from Scotland. Yeah, it looks like this tempura mattress is like ridiculously foam and memory foamy, and it's like that.
It's got the memories of dead assassins.
Exactly, impregnated in the fibres.
I wonder how warm it'd be if you just sandwiched yourself between 2 bits of memory foam.
Two memory foams, just a
dog rating of memory foam.
Yeah. I bet that'd be fucking warm.
But it's not very flexible, is it, memory foam?
Yeah, you'd be kind of encased.
Well, that's the whole point of it, though.
Yeah, what, you just get a thick one that's heavy enough to just sort of wrap itself around you perfectly.
Exactly. It wouldn't have to be that thick, you just have to put something on top of
it. Man, I wouldn't want to sleep on my front.
You need a special mechanical sandwich bed.
Yeah.
You'd wake up from sleeping on your front on the memory foam. You just have you'd imprint of your face just in.
You wouldn't be able to sleep on your front on the memory foam, I don't think.
No, I don't think
it's too difficult to breathe through.
Yeah, that's a problem when I'm sleeping on my front. It's not like I'm like.
That's what I picture though. So you're if you're rolling from one side to the other during the night and you're asleep, would the halfway stage be like suffocation?
Yeah, it would, but
wouldn't you just wake up immediately?
So you're like,
it's not like a lot of things wake you up when you're sleeping. I live fucking next to a railway for a start. So.
But that must be really, really bad if you're a drool sleeper. And you sleep on your front and then you like roll over into your drool.
Well, it does suck sometimes when I wake up and it's just like I'm sleeping in a damp patch. It's like, no. But that can happen to anyone. That's not just from sleeping on your front.
I have done that. But it's on my back normally, so at least the drool is away from my head, not exactly where my head is going to be. When I roll.
I remember the last time there. Anyway,
back to games.
So
now we've had our duvet discussion.
The vital tog scale discussion. Speaking of things that should have a middle and don't. Anyway, carry on.
Right, games. Fuck.
Assassin's Creed done.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed done.
All right.
I'll talk about that again. Maybe.
Just Assassin's Creed for you to go.
Yeah.
And Black Flag.
Yeah.
And probably more.
Fucking Ubisoft. I played through the entirety of Spec Ops The Line.
Oh god.
In the last 2 weeks.
Got a whole review to do in the next 10 minutes.
Didn't seem to take very long.
That's because it isn't very long.
No.
It's 6 or 7 hours long.
Wasn't that like Yancey's favourite game of last year?
Yeah, but for them, and a lot of people kind of do give it a lot of props because of its narrative.
Yeah.
So let's start with the spoiler-free version of this.
And then spoil it.
Yeah. Well, you
okay.
have to give them the option to turn off or skip a few minutes, that kind of thing. At least warn people. I overall like it, not because of the entertainment necessarily value of it, or necessarily because of the gameplay mechanical side of it. I like it because of the way it made me reflect on it when I finished it. The narrative is, while I have my doubts about whether or not it's actually a well-written narrative after all, that game did enough to make me think about what it was trying to do.
Okay.
And I kind of liked that. It was a game I didn't just walk, like Revelations or somewhere there where it's just like, fuck it, I'm done with that, moving on. This was kind of like, what? Yeah, I have to question this and, really dig deep in my mind.
That was the end of the episode. Sound fit for you? Thank you! You can always tell her that.
Okay, try and remember that one. yeah, it's weird. So the base storyline, spoiler free, is you end up in Dubai as you're sent. You three of you are sent into a sandstorm ruined Dubai. There's not much of it left, and most of it is encased in sand. On a hunt to see if there are survivors about, and call it in, basically. What then follows is a series of misunderstandings and interpretations, I guess, that land you in a bit of shit, and you kind of make the choice to progress forward and see what you can do to help out the scenario. Now, that's about as far as I can go without hitting spoiler territory. All you need to know is that shit doesn't go well.
Right.
And when does it ever in video games?
and it gets progressively worse and worse and more worse, and just keeps going. So mechanically, I'll be honest, it's middling to below average, like in the way that it handles and the way that it plays. I mean, it's fine, but it's just fine. There's no real standout amazing moment in how the game handles. I mean, it's a third-person cover-based shooter in which the cover mechanics are somewhat sticky and kind of awkward to get in and out of at times, and it has Gears of War-esque style grenade throwing, so it puts a dotted line on screen when you can aim it and put it down and that kind of thing, so you don't have to get out of cover to plan a mode of attack, and you get tons of grenades so you can use them quite often, that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much all there is to say about the gameplay. That is it. There's a few turret sections. It's a bit of a shooting gallery feel quite a lot of the time. But there are a couple of things that set that apart, actually, and it's not and they're not really mechanical. They're kind of the setting and what they do with it. I mean, this sand-strewn environment is kind of a cool place to fight. Cool. It looks nice. Cool. It's not very technically proficient.
Yeah.
But the way they've done it looks really nice. Like the way the sand does, there's enough blowing sand effects and wind effects and
Uncharted 3 kind of sand levels.
Oh, there's no comparison. The Uncharted 3 stuff still looks like business, but I mean, they do this well enough in that it sets the scene enough that you care about it and stuff, and enough that it's believable. And they do some scenes in the middle of sandstorms and stuff like that, and that's pretty cool because your visibility goes to shit, but there's stuff blowing everywhere, and your characters all start reacting and holding their heads down and things like that. And that stuff's all done really well. And there's some great stylistic moments involving one bit involves white phosphorus, which is kind of cool. So everything is all burny and horrible and whites out your vision and stuff like that. And it does some pretty cool stuff like that, to set moments. And it's kind of, and I'll be honest with you, the story does get its hooks in you, and you do, despite the unease it puts upon you, want to see it through. You just want to know how. You're almost looking for the silver lining the entire time. The game makes you want to look for this. Surely there's a good side to this sort of narrative, which is great. Because then, in a way, the lackluster gameplay is only serving enough of a purpose to push the story along, which is fine by me in this case. When the narrative's as strong as this, that's okay. It depends. It's not, the gameplay is not the focus. It's just there, and I wish it was better, but in a way, it doesn't have to be. What I found really interesting, actually, about when you're in a big combat scene. Was the banter that goes on. Right. The way you sounds quite nice, and the way that your teammates talk to you and describe what's going on, like where there's a shotgun guy coming or there's a weapon, a melee specialist
awareness kind of
coming at you. Yeah, that stuff's really nice, actually. Cool. That's done really well. And even better, I think, is the enemy banter you can hear.
Yeah.
How they're describing what they think you're doing and how they're talking to each other to flush you out and make you move around the battlefield and things like that. That is really cool because it sounds like like, it sounds like a mess. Like, if you ever played paintball or something like that, it's the shouting of people to each other. It's not like, we've got a plan. We're going to do this. I'm going to go out and we're going to do it completely silently. No, no, these guys are shouting at each other and swearing and saying, fucking go over there, and things like that. It's like, fucking grenade him out. And there's a lot of fucks. And it's that, just the audio of that is great.
Cool. It does sound good.
I liked that element a lot. And the sort of the audio style in general is pretty cool. It's kind of, sometimes a bit cheesy, sort of like grungy rock stuff, but then they occasionally throw in like that Hush song at one point is played. There's a sort of like a weird DJ-y sort of like guy on the speakers and on the radio every now and then. So yeah, they will play some like old rock songs and stuff in certain instances, and there's a bit of Ride of the Valkyries and stuff like that. And it's kind of, that stuff blends in actually really well and sets piece and makes some of the game stand out perhaps more than it otherwise would have done. And it's consistent. You know, they keep that style throughout the game, which is something to be said. And I'm struggling now at this point how I can possibly continue with this without going into spoiler territory.
Or perhaps it can wait then, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, because this will depend entirely on whether you guys will want to play it, because I do not want to spoil it for you if you do. Because that is the game. Right.
It's probably not a good idea then. I guess I might play it. I don't know. But if you really want to talk about it, I guess you can go ahead.
I sort of do, but as I said, it is the game. I can't talk about it without going deep.
Fair enough.
Any further, and to do so ruins the point.
Okay. Well, how many of our listeners do you think will have finished it or
it was reasonably old. It was middle of last year.
Yeah. But no, I'm not saying it's not old enough to have spoiled it.
So but if you're not sure, let's not do it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But for me, it's a recommend. Cool. It's a recommend.
It does sound good.
It's an up on the 2 points.
It's a thumbs up.
It's a thumbs up.
If only, even if it's just an exercise, I suppose, in the games as art argument, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, it's a mature narrative in a otherwise
rather barren wasteland of nonsense.
There's a certain satire in the way this game sets out. You know, there's a certain, and I've seen it sort of in reviews and stuff. I don't know how much you've read into this, but if you've seen like some of the stuff talk about Far Cry 3's like underlying narrative in places,
it's a bit. There's
some similarity there.
Right, I see. Cool.
Which makes you question yourself. So yeah, that's all I can really say. It gets its hooks in you and had me thinking about it for a long time after finishing it. And there's multiple endings which can change your way of thinking. Oh, actually, I do. This is another gripe. The way it handles choice in places is a little jarring. There will be moments where you have a choice on how to tackle a scenario. It doesn't matter, ultimately, what choices you make. But you can handle certain situations in a certain way that is your choice. But then when the game stresses elements like choice, often you don't. And as from a gameplay perspective, that doesn't gel well.
Right.
Especially seeing as one of the most poignant moments of the game. Poignant.
Poignant.
One of the most poignant moments of the game. They literally talk about choice seconds before it happens. Seconds, a minute or so before it happens. But you have no choice in that sequence. Even though you kind of want to have the choice. As a player, I wanted a choice here.
But they kind of drew attention to the fact that you don't.
Yeah, it wouldn't have pushed the narrative in the right direction had I not. But it was... And maybe that's intentional. This game does a lot of stuff intentionally.
Yeah. Highlighting the fact that choice is unusual in...
and this is another thing that gets me questioning it. Is like there's a lot of elements of this game. Is like maybe they made some of these decisions to put me out of comfort. Yeah. To put me in this weird feeling state. To make some of it work more. And if they did, fucking works.
Cool.
If they didn't, it fucking worked anyway.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Okay, I'm done with that. I haven't really played much else, I'm afraid, other than that. I actually did fire up Burnout Paradise briefly, just to sort of see quite how it had changed between that and Most Wanted.
Need for Speed Most Wanted,
Yeah. Burnout Paradise is a fuck ton faster.
Yeah.
Well,
It
Burnout's
is
faster
Burnout,
in general,
but yeah.
isn't it?
But it's a fuck ton faster, and the controls are more responsive than I remember. Like, a lot more responsive. You can push the handbrake button and stop, like,
Right.
turn on a pin, kind of stuff. So actually, like, in a weird way, after playing a lot of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, like, suddenly, like, playing Burnout Paradise feels easy in a weird way. I still think that game is fundamentally flawed in how you actually go about progressing through it, and it's kind of irritating when you fail an event and there's no restart, or you know you're going to fail this event because you're so far fucking behind the competition, and there's no restart button. I hate that.
That does suck.
I really hate that. Is there a restart button in Most Wanted?
Well, you can, because you get to the events from that list. If you've already done it, you can just
Oh,
teleport
right. So,
to the start.
even if you fuck up, you can go back to that list.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm pretty sure.
That's. Or what about mid race?
Well, I don't know about that, but you can access that menu at any time apparently. So presumably you should be able to.
Okay, cool.
Or maybe there's just a menu option to restart it. I'm not even sure. I haven't played that anymore. In case anyone was wondering.
All right. You went off it.
Well, I never got into it, I guess.
Yeah.
The video is available on the Saladcast.
Yep.
That'll do.
happysalad.net.
Advertising. Self-plugging.
It's not advertising on our own show.
It's a type of advertising.
Marketing. We're promoting our brand.
Awesome brand.
Corporate synergy.
Our salad-based brand. I played a bit more Bioshock on my end of things.
Yes.
Yep. Continuing. I haven't got to the end, so I can't give you all the spoilery warnings or anything, but it continues to be a lot of fun.
All right.
Impressive, spectacular. I watched the Yahtzee review of Bioshock Infinite, and I thought it was completely on the money. It was a very good review from him. I would watch that. I mean, it's a great game whose only problem is it's massively up its own arse. That's it.
What, Ken Levine knows he's...
Just the whole thing.
Ken Levine is awesome, but the problem is he knows it.
Dude, I guess. Just like I was saying last time, all the same things. Like, it's just very unsubtle. But it doesn't stop it being great.
Stuff.
Yeah, all the message stuff. It's really like bashing you over the head with everything. But it's consistently, impressive environments, intriguing story, and just it is a lot of fun. Actually, the combat and stuff is fun. So it's kind of good combination there. Everything very slick and cool. Yeah. So, and it continues to get more weird and interesting as we go. I've stepped through my first rift into another alter reality.
You see, that's the stuff.
I imagine a lot of that is going to start happening.
That's some of the stuff I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
Is going how they play that stuff.
I think that stuff, it's quite light on that stuff at first, and then that is going to be the whole deal. I think all the timelines and shit. So yeah, cool stuff.
Is that about it?
Yeah, I haven't really played anything else. I don't think I need to get back to Far Cry 3 actually, with Blood Dragon coming up because I'm only about halfway through that.
I assumed you'd finished it.
No, I haven't got to all the way to the end. I'd done the entire I was getting all the
Hunting stuff.
Yeah, and doing all the
Side stuff. Basically,
all the side stuff.
You weren't doing the main actual story.
No, exactly. And all the outposts and stuff on the first island, there are a lot or whatever. And I've got all of those now. So that's just fun to do. It's an open world kind of game. Yeah. But the story is good. Like, the missions are cool, so I should get into more of those.
It's have you unlocked everything you want now? Is there any reason to do the side stuff?
Yeah, I get.
Apart from it being fun.
Yeah. It has that, everyone says it has that kind of gated progression where you reach a point halfway through the progress and there is no more progression. It's just then you dossing about in the world.
Yeah. Basically. Well, I've got most of the guns and stuff that I want, but apparently once you get to the second island, there's a mission which gives you a uniform that makes you stealth invisible, basically, or something which completely changes the game.
Just makes everything else a lot easier.
I don't know because I haven't experienced it yet, but that sounds like might not be a good thing, but we'll see how it goes.
It depends if it takes anything away.
Yeah.
If it's one of those balanced upgrades or something.
But the stealth is actually not that easy sometimes, especially when there's loads of enemies. So that becomes the thing. So yeah, I should get back to that.
Tigers.
Tigers, indeed. A blood dragon coming up.
Oh,
That's not going to have any stealth.
Yeah, fucking blood dragon looks amazing.
Yep. So that's the future.
We played.
I'm in Far Cry now, just for that. I'm in.
I need to play some more goddamn Torchlight too.
Yeah, we do
You
need to play
You
that.
really need to play more of that.
And me and Rob also played a small amount of Planetside 2 this week because Rob had to see it on his new graphics card.
Oh yeah, I turned on the GPU physics option on that just to
There's
see,
so many
what it's like.
particles.
There's so many particles, and they're
Nice.
really pretty.
Awesome. That's the future.
It's like there's some oddities. Like if you're not looking at something, and then you turn around to look at, so you get a sudden. The card then decides to start generating the particles in the world. It's not like they were there, not being rendered. It's like they're just not there. So you look at them, and it's like woof of stuff suddenly starts to happen. And like, when stuff explodes and you get these glowy, sort of embery particles shining everywhere. And everywhere, anytime anyone hits a wall, there's a shower of sparks and stuff. It looks amazing.
Cool.
Although, when I turn all this shit on, frame rate does still suffer in places.
Well, I'm sure.
It's still badly optimized.
Yeah. But, my God, particles are pretty!
Man, I saw a video earlier on today on YouTube of a 90-year-old grandma trying
that
the
one's been
Oculus
doing the
Rift.
rounds.
That was freaking awesome. She was well into it.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah. It's the future. Anyway.
3D! In your face!
And she was like, "Well, holy mackerel!" That was her thing, and she didn't tighten the thing, so she was like holding the goddamn thing up the whole time. It was quite weird, but yeah, that was pretty cool. Yes. So yes, we're coming to the end of this Saladcast.
Time to get beats.
Time to get piz'd.
I need to get piz'd real bad.
Just don't say it's a thing.
I didn't!
I know.
I was
That was
purposely
me.
not!
That was Dan deliberately saying it.
Yeah, of
Does
course.
not say it.
Don't forget to check the website, happysalad.net,
Yes.
for more content and videos and such, or check the YouTube channel, The Saladcast.
The Saladcast.
I don't know if it's probably just user Saladcast. And also, don't forget to check the Facebook page, also known as The Saladcast, or the... Wait, that's Happy Salad. Oh, I can't remember that one. Or the Twitter account, @Saladcast.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.
What? Boo.
Boo.
Boo. Boo. Boo. Boo. I'm... What? Yeah, I have to question this.